like to make a motion to open the meeting of the advisory board for Thursday, October 16th, 2025.
Second?
Do you want a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Can we take a minute and say the pledge of allegiance? Please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we are recording this meeting by camera, not by Zoom, through MC Marshfield Community Television or Community Media. We are in the Marshfield Police Emergency Operations Center, and I'd like to thank the Marshfield Police Department for making this room available for us. So, on the agenda, we have two items for discussion. The first is to discuss and accept the meeting minutes for the 9/23 advisory board meeting. I'm not sure if everyone's had a chance to look at those minutes. I sent them out. We are working on getting caught up on our minutes, and like Kate Burke from the select board's office has been very helpful. I know Jan's been very helpful as well in working on that. And moving forward, between Jan and myself, we will make sure that we post the minutes in a timely manner so we don't get behind. But if anybody have any questions or concerns about the 923 minutes, or is it 929 minutes?
They look good to me. I read through them before I got there.
Okay, great. Anyone else? So I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. I did have on the agenda the amended agenda. I don't know if you all, this happened kind of fast, and there is an item, it is not part of the warrant and is not part of special town meeting, but there is an item that has been brought to my attention by our town accountant that their beaches had to do an emergency seaweed removal the weekend of Labor Day weekend due to offshore storms, and it was proposed by the Marshfield Police Department that it was actually a health concern because it was
when was this done? Was this past weekend?
No, Labor Day weekend. So it was like the seaweed was so built up on the beaches, and obviously it's a very busy weekend on our beaches, that they made a decision to move forward and remove that seaweed in advance because of the health violations. So they are proposing to our town finance department to be reimbursed that amount of money for the seaweed removal. Basically, from what I understand, the DPW did not have the tools or let me see what the notes are on this. But basically, we're going to discuss this on Monday, so I'm going to table it. But I just wanted you guys to understand where this is coming from, because it's over $23,000, and it's being proposed that we take that money out of our reserve fund. And the reason that is, it is kind of an emergency, and this is the kind of thing that the reserve fund is there for, because it is an unanticipated expense that's deemed an emergency by one of our departments in the town. So I'll make sure you guys get all the information. And the reason we're waiting till Monday is Meg, our town accountant, has said that if we do, agree, it takes a vote of the advisory board to move this amount forward. And if we do move it forward, there are documents to sign as well, and she wanted to be there and be able to do it all at once. We do have a meeting on the books for 6 p.m. Monday before the town meeting, which it's typical because we, just in case something comes up, or even after tonight, we need to table anything for our vote. I'm hoping we don't, but if we do, then we have time on Monday to vote that in, those things in as well.
So,
Yeah.
so reading the definition, I know it was, I don't consider it an emergency. I don't consider it extraordinary or unforeseen. Seaweed happens. It just bothers me that we're finding out about this so late in the game, and a phone call Labor Day weekend, or a little after that would have been would have been nice. And here we are, several weeks later, over a month later, and they're saying, well, we had an emergency and we spent your money. I don't like it. Just let you know.
I absolutely don't disagree with you. I did ask that question from Meg and Ms. LeMay, and I think I did ask her, and it said, if possible, they would normally come to us and get the pre-approval of that transfer, that know that that's where the funding was gonna come from before they moved forward and went ahead and spend it out of their, in advance. And she said because it was a holiday weekend and the police department determined that it could not wait for approval, they decided to move forward with it and come to ask us for that money after the fact. I think it's important to say that in the future, I'm not against this, because I do know, yeah, seaweed does happen, but this was a very unusual thing, and then also because of the amount of seaweed, and also because of the nature of the time of it. Obviously, if this was the dead of winter, we probably wouldn't get that concerned about it, but it was Labor Day weekend. The police department deemed it a health risk, so, but I agree with you, and I asked that question.
I have no problem if they were called on Tuesday after Labor Day and said, hey, we had to do this, we considered it an emergency, and we're looking for the advisory board to step up as a team.
Right.
Out of the team. They didn't do that. That's a little bothersome.
You want me to point of order?
Sure.
As we, at the last meeting, gave members assigned to different town departments,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's looking inward, maybe incumbent on us to reach out to those departments, whether it be beach, whether it be public safety, and say, hey, this is your liaison to the advisory board. Let's tighten up the communication a little bit.
Sure.
And that advisory board member can bring that forward. We can kind of probably nix some of this delay, move a little more expeditiously. I know we're a new board, and all getting caught up, but moving forward.
And working together, some have been
Yeah.
here a while and some are not.
The cohesion, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely here, and I think,
And again, this was thrust upon the beaches via public safety department, right?
well, they needed it removed, and I think the concern was that, they had the police look at, beaches is part of police, so I didn't know if everybody knows that, I didn't know that, a little while ago, but I obviously learned that over time, and, it was something that they deemed as a health emergency because of the rotting seaweed and the amount of other things that are caught in the seaweed and the fact that it's a busy weekend on our beaches. So they made the decision to move forward. The thing that the reserve fund is meant for are things like this, where there is no line item budget for seaweed. And, the question is, should beaches be budgeting for that? If it was a reoccurring item or something like that, but it really
No problem
hasn't.
with the expense, no
Yeah.
problem with the decision.
It's just the process.
The laziness of, hey, by the way, before town meeting, you guys gotta approve this, otherwise you're not gonna be balanced and what's.
Well, and I agree with you, because this was Labor Day weekend, it's now October the
6
6th
weeks later.
later, and that's a long time, 6 weeks later, so. But we can discuss it, anybody else have anything to say?
Two things, I guess, were some clarity for me. What's the difference between this and the year-end transfers?
Well, because this is meant, and Sean, you may be able to answer this better than me. Are you there?
I am here.
So can you answer that question? Did you hear the question?
I did hear the question, I heard what is the difference between this and year transfer.
Right.
So the difference is that, this is an expense that's now known as not an operational expense or a deficiency, so that's why they're making that request that it be paid out of those funds as opposed to it coming out of the beaches revolving, because the beaches revolving doesn't fall under the year transfer process, because that is actually a separate, that operates separately, similar to an enterprise, that's a revolving fund. So realistically, we wouldn't be doing year transfer process for a revolving fund.
Okay. Thanks. The other comment I unsubstantiated, but wasn't there some issue with the results of this operation? What I heard was they put it out in the ocean and it all came back in the next day.
That's what I was trying to get out, so I think it was just, probably was just in the ocean, and just came back in, and it was was more up than he came in on that side.
I mean, there was an extraordinary
Yeah,
amount of
it's a lot
seaweed.
of seaweed, so
I saw it.
But
I wouldn't blame anybody, it's just nature.
That was the only other comment I heard. Somebody mentioned to me, yeah, they put it out, the next day it was all back in the beach.
Okay.
Just want to find a point on what I was saying. You, Chris and Paul are the liaisons to the police and fire. And maybe you guys can have that conversation about the two-way communication. We can, to Vin's point, we can move through these processes a little earlier as to when they happen.
Right, and I agree with that, and we'll definitely do that as we move into Springtown meeting, going towards Springtown meeting, get more proactive on things like this, so that everybody knows who their point of contact is, so. Okay, so, we're gonna table that till Monday for the vote, and, if you need, I can forward this email from Meg to you guys that gives the written answer to my questions, so you can have it, but I think we covered that unless there's anything else on that. All right, so the next item on our agenda is to go through all the articles of the special town meeting. And if everyone, and obviously if you are assigned to this department that the articles comes from, and you have any, additional information you need to add, or if any questions, if you have any questions from members prior to the vote, we can answer those then. And then my goal would be to, if everyone feels comfortable voting on those articles tonight, then we take a vote. And then we move forward from that, and I will report, or we can report the votes to the select board's office and to Attorney Galvin, so that we can prepare for town meeting with the PowerPoint and the voting outcomes of the different categories of business. So that being said, does anybody have any questions about that or anything? Okay. So Article 1 is a select board article. I think everyone has seen this, where we would be transferring the sum of $13,574.17 from free cash. I think we already talked about this. Does anybody have any questions about this article specifically? All right, so I'll make a motion to recommend that the town move forward and approve this article.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Article 2,
That's me.
yep, then,
Okay, so this is a bit of a story, bear with me. The subject article asks the special town meeting to vote on the ratification of the recently negotiated contract between the town and the local 2568. The contract expired June 30th, 2023, requiring employees of the town to work under conditions and wages of the old contract. As such, their wages have been frozen for 2+ years. In discussions with Chief LaSelva, he is finding the situation to be a significant detriment to the morale of the station and his ability to attract desirable candidates for job openings. So the cost of this contract is not insignificant. It's high, but it's because it's already 2 years into a 3-year period. So there are retro costs that we're going to have to pay for. Salary increases and overtime for the last several years, the last 2 years, and also pay for what's left. So the retro costs are, and Sean, please step in if I give a wrong number, I'm told $798,178 for the retro costs for the 2 years we're on borrowed time, and then an additional $300,000 for the rest of the contract, which ends in June 30th of 2026. These costs will be funded out of existing operating budgets, supplemented by free cash. So there's no emergency funding. We have to get the money in place. There are also improvements, which is what Chief LaSalle was really satisfied with, in incentives for the employees to seek to improve their skills through education and qualify for positions of additional responsibility. This aspect of the new contract, in the opinion of our chief, should fundamentally lead to improved morale. The cost of this piece of the contract is not substantial, but will steadily grow over time as employees participate in these activities and achieve higher qualifications. I asked the town administrator also, where does this put our fire personnel? in terms of surrounding towns. And he drew from his own experience as the Norwell town administrator. He said that, hold on, according to the town administrator, ratification of this contract will put our firefighters roughly on par with the Marshfield police, which is important because we can't have the firefighters leap over them, because then we'd have to reopen their contract. This has been evaluated by the town's labor council. I think the police the police union is challenging that, but the labor council and, anyway, the labor council doesn't think it's true. Also, when you look at the other towns, Peter Mooring feels it puts us right where we were 2 years ago, right in the middle. Not too high, not too low, kind of staying below the blade of the lawnmower. So I'd like to propose, I guess I'll open it for discussion, and then I'll make what I think might work. Yeah,
Just one question, it's approximately, little, 1.1 million.
That's right.
What part of that is part of their budget and what part of it is free cash?
This is when I defer to Mr. Sean.
Sean, can you hear that?
I don't know the answer to that.
I did, so the part that's going to be coming from free cash is the $780,000 for the retro, and then the additional $300,000 would need to be infused into the current year's operational budget, because when I went through the negotiation process, there were some changes to enhance, like the chief had referred to promote education within the rank and file. So due to that change, we need to shore up the current fiscal year's budget with another $300,000.
Sean, I'm just curious, during the budget discussion, didn't this come up, this 300 current expense that we foresee having?
Actually, during the budget discussion, all we anticipated was a percentage increase or cost of living adjustment, but there are multipliers. This is the same that holds true with the police department as well as the fire department. What we did not anticipate was the negotiation and the agreement on the increase to the percentage in education, which is then multiplied against the base salary. That is the component that was the unknown variable, so that is why we need the additional $300,000 from free cash to shore up the current fiscal year's budget.
So I'm clear, you're saying that 300 is all part of the incentive clause of the contract?
Well, I'm saying that's part of the reason why there's a slight deficiency in the current year's budget, because we're taking almost 3 years of contract and applying it where there's increases to education. That's a multiplier. That's impacting the current fiscal year because there are 2 prior years of contract that have additional incentives for that increase in education. So it does contribute to the deficiency.
So, I understand with the multiplier, but 2 years have gone by. I'm hearing you correctly, that incentive pay for the last 2 years for educational improvement is gone, right? So we're planning the cost, but we wouldn't be spending it because we're only 8 months left in the contract, not 3 years.
Well, no, we're going to keep behind that there's a retro component, but that multiplier impacts the current. We're going to be the 3rd year of the contract, so there's a significant change in the percentage that's used to multiply the educational incentive. That change is going to result in an increase in salaries.
For current year.
For the current year, that is correct.
Okay.
Keep in mind that part of that is retro, because even though we only have 8 months left, we still have 4 months that we have to compensate them for. So we're going to have to cover the entire fiscal year. That retro component is for the first 2 years, because the other piece of that retro is going to be, the 2% increase is going to be part of the current year that's already factored in.
Yeah, so we budgeted 2% increase.
Correct.
And now
We
this,
budgeted a 2% increase across the board.
and that now this 1.1 million is the true cost to get the new contract.
Well, the 780 is all of the retro, and then the additional 300 is to ensure that there are no budget deficiencies when it comes to personnel expenses for the fire department.
Sean, I thought I heard you say that the retro was coming from free cash. And then you said the 300 is going into the current year fiscal budget, but that's also coming out of free cash?
That is correct, both amounts are coming from free cash.
Not in total though, are they? Is some of the fiscal year 26 covered in the operating budget?
The 780,000 has to come from free cash, that's the retro component, and then the additional monies that are gonna be needed for the current fiscal year is also going to come from free cash.
So it's totally funded by free cash?
Totally funded by free cash.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So in summary, the 300 is above and beyond the 2% budget increase for this fiscal year.
That is correct.
That's a fair statement? And
That's the first.
on this incentive, educational pay and so forth, I guess that's a question we gotta ask, is where are they at, you know, this far into the year? How many people are going out to seminars and whatnot to use this program? We don't know that yet. So that's a user elusive type incentive program? We budget it based on a multiplier, if nobody goes and gets educated, then we don't spend that money?
Well, if there's an incentive and they don't meet those educational milestones, then we don't compensate them at those additional percentages. But also to keep in mind too, that the specialty pay, so if they're an EMT or a paramedic, that also increases as well. So there's two different multipliers, the educational component as well as the specialty pay. That's where the increase, the anticipated increase to the current fiscal year's budget. That's why that infusion of the additional 300,000 is necessary, so that way we're not in a deficit situation. Come the end of the fiscal year, we're now asking to do year-end budget transfers just to shore up that hole. We want to put that money in there now, so that way we don't have to go through the year-end budget transfer process to cover up the shortfall, potential shortfall in the fire department's budget.
Okay, so in your opinion, this should handle the budget for this fiscal year, we wouldn't be looking at transfers in July.
We shouldn't be looking at transfers to this degree for the fire department, that is correct.
No, just for the fire department, I'm talking about, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, are they budgeting for this in all future budgets? We've known about this for 2 years, so moving forward, as, you know, from July of 26 on, I'm assuming it's in their budget moving forward.
Yes, so for fiscal year 27, we will certainly be building in a little bit more than just the traditional COLA increase to maybe anticipate any additional increases to the incentives, whether it be education or specialty pay.
A little bit of field here, but just a quick question. To the best of your knowledge, is the department fully staffed? Are there any vacancies at the moment?
I want to say that I feel that they are fully staffed. I believe there was a cadet, I'm not sure if the cadet passed, so I'm a little hesitant to say they're fully staffed, but they might have one vacancy, but I believe that vacancy is probably filled.
Effectively fully staffed and operating as they should.
Yeah.
All right.
Sean, 2 questions. Is the police department, have they been, has their question been asked and answered? Or are they still upset with the contract as they know it?
I have no knowledge of whether they are upset or accepting of the current fire contract. I haven't really heard anything.
Okay. And second question, when do negotiations for the new contract start? After after January?
I would have to defer that either to town administration or the select board because I'm not sure when they're going to start that process.
All right.
But I would hope, it would be my opinion that they start that process soon since we're coming to the end of the contract.
Anything else, any other discussion? So my feeling is, and I'm only speaking for myself, not the board, that I propose that we accept this article and recommend approval at town meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Article 3,
That's mine too.
okay.
I've got a couple in a row here. All right, this is pretty much a standard town meeting article. It's the wage schedule for town employees to reflect an increase given to the town's bargaining unit workers. It represents an increase of 2% for grades 4 through 17, steps 1 through 4. The cost of this article is $54,029.36 in total. The funding for this article is already established in the FY 2026 operating budget.
Any questions, concerns on this?
I recommend approval, that we recommend to the town meeting that they approve this article.
So we'll make a motion to approve or recommend.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, Article 4.
All right, so this one's a little stickier, but it's small money. The subject article asks the special town meeting to vote on changes to several grades contained in Schedule Alpha, full-time exempt town employees, and Schedule Bravo, part-time seasonal positions. The cost of this, and you can see the highlighted jobs, and I mostly focused on the full-time exempt because I really couldn't get a strong handle on Schedule Bravo, which is really teeny dollars, not even small dollars, teeny dollars. But the three positions, the Assistant Veterans Agent, the Social Services Coordinator, and the Assistant Director of the Council on Aging, those, what the cost is going to be, the Assistant Veterans Agent is to go from, this is a person who occupies that position and is being promoted by their boss. So that's the framework here. The recommendation is to go from step 10, grade 3, to grade 11, step 1. The reason, well, no, that's it. And that increases less than $1,400, $1,391 per year. The Social Services Coordinator at the Council on Aging is currently a grade 9, step 4, and because that particular grade is above the grade 10, step 1, the promotion is to go to grade 10, step 2. And that cost is $1,310 per year. And then the Assistant Director of the Council on Aging is currently a grade 10, step 4, and is proposed to go to a grade 11, step 2, which is an increase of $1,453. The total of all those is $4,154 per year from the town. And if you throw in the Schedule B components, you're probably looking at less than $5,000 total for the whole ball of wax. Frankly, I don't understand why town meeting has to get involved in these things. We hire managers to make these decisions, but this is the way it is. And that's what I have on this article. I do know, according to Danielle, I spent a lot of time with Danielle, there's going to be some people proposing amendments to raise their grade higher than what's proposed. What Peter Moran told Danielle was keep it so that it's within the budget. Anything beyond what is proposed here is going to require us to adjust the budget. So, and I'll turn to Sean. Sean, did I get that accurately?
Yes, you did.
So everything proposed here is no harm, no foul. It's in the budget and small dollars. If they go to town meeting floor and ask for an amendment, that will cost extra money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sean.
I was just agreeing, yes, that is correct.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, okay, sorry.
Discussion?
Any discussion? Right, make a motion to recommend Article 4 to town meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, Article 5, that is me, I believe. Is it? This will the town vote to transfer the sum of $1,205,824.93 from free cash or other available funding sources listed below for the items listed in the chart below. I talked to Peter Moran, Mr. Moran, about this. Basically, the first two are police items, and the sick leave buyout for retirees. It comes. Can't read my notes, but it's basically a reimbursement for sick leave for people that, or people that are retiring, and they have accrued a lot of sick leave, and instead of losing it, they were going, the idea is to reimburse them for that. And on fire, the rest of the items are all basically coming out of free cash. The fire sick leave, the same exact thing, that comes out of compensated absence funds that they retain, and everything else is free cash. Basically, this is an opportunity to use the available free cash to take care of these items, and that are what needed by all the different departments that are listed here. Anything I'm missing on that, Sean?
No, you covered it.
Okay.
And Sean, what's the free cash balance without this number coming out of it, and then with the, you know, so we can do the math in our heads with taking out 1.2 versus 1.1 for the fire, or in addition to 1.1 for the fire?
I think after the special town meeting, I think the free cash balance, I want to say is 3.3 million.
After we deduct all these funds and the fire contract?
I believe the certified number is about 6.4.
That's Brian.
Sean, is that correct? Prior to whatever is in the articles, I know there's 1.2-ish in this article, and then some other articles as well. But I think the certified free cash as of 6/30/25 should be 6.4, which is pretty consistent to the previous year was 6.6.
That is correct. So the million funds for fire, plus about 1.1 for free cash, plus for the free cash article. Then there's also other items throughout the warrant that would drop that down. I believe it's 3.3 or 3.5. I don't have it in front of
All
me.
right, thank you. That's good.
Okay, any other questions?
I think
Go ahead, Brian.
some of the other articles later, like 31 to 33-ish, kind of give some ambiguous terms to it as the funding source. So if it's ambiguous, is it assumed that it's free cash? Is that right, Sean?
If it doesn't refer back to the enterprise, it is going to come out of the general fund free cash. So there's the enterprise retained earnings, which there's three different, there's the wastewater, solid waste, and water. And then there's the general fund free cash.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on Article 5?
Just some information on,
Yes.
on the PFAS turnout here. This is the second purchase to supplement all their gear for everyday plus spares. And if I recall, I don't think we need to see this again for 10 years.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
And this is another subject just about Sean's here.
Mhm.
Just real briefly, Sean. We're looking to see why do we have to have these maintenance items coming out of free cash? Why can't we move those to operating budgets? Or what is the process we can get involved with to do that? Let's put it that way.
Well, I think historically, they've been funded with free cash, and that's a great question. And I think the reason, or the logic behind the free cash is the money stays in a special article account and can be drawn down over a longer period of time, because if this was allocated into the traditional budget at the year-end close, whatever surplus balance was there would roll to free cash. So I think that was probably why they went this route of putting it as a special article, so it could be used over a longer period of time to maybe accommodate a project that's taking more than a year or so. I'm not really sure the approach that was taken, that's my opinion, but going forward, I do believe this should be a normal item that is in the operational budget.
It just makes no sense to me to ask townspeople to vote on, should we maintain our town, our maintenance budgets. It's just, I don't know if it's a difference between public and private, but maintenance budgets are maintenance budgets. Very important.
Well, fortunately, when times are tough and what ends up happening in the municipal sector is that maintenance gets deferred to a point where it's no longer a maintenance situation, now it's a replace or
Right.
rebuild. And that's, you know, when we're in tough times, that's the first thing that's cut is the maintenance. So I think there was a true effort in the past to really ensure that we were maintaining not only the school, but also the town assets. And I think at this point, things are probably in a very good shape where we could probably migrate this off a special article situation and really have it be part of the operational budget.
There were a couple of similar things.
Yeah, throughout this.
Right.
We're asking people to vote on some complex issues that should be operational.
Right.
Yeah, definitely something to look at, especially once we secure a full-time town administrator is something that, to bring to his or her attention. You know, properly move towards operational expense versus free cash.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
question for Sean. Sean, is there a, can you use free cash for capital expenses as well as operational expenses, either or?
It can be used for either or, but the caveat is that if it's for operational, it's just a temporary, it shouldn't be used for operational needs in perpetuity. Really, the purpose of free cash is for capital needs.
Got it, thank you.
right.
One last point, just on information, the north-south river shoaling dredging, it's a little unclear. Well, that's just to do the permitting, no dredging involved here.
That is correct. That's just the permitting aspect. That's not the action.
Another thing, a town meeting, people say, oh, $130,000, we're gonna dredge the river. No, we just
This year.
I wish.
I'm pretty sure Harbor Master Demand will make it clear. That's
It's a little more to what
But
the, I know there is.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll get to it.
All right, any other questions on Article 5? All right, then I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
One quick point on the, compensated, sick buyout for fire and police.
Mhm.
That is not a funded pool and, typically the balance is, you know, historically fairly consistent. So is the balance with these two exceptions about 400 less, whatever the two buyout is for fire and police, is that historically about what the balance has been? I don't know if Sean has any context to that.
Great question.
I'm not really sure what I think we're talking about two different things. So the sick buyout, those are for folks that are retiring and they are grandfathered under a previous contract where they have that ability to convert their sick time to actually a payout at retirement. And
Yeah.
those funds are actually sitting in a separate trust account, separate from general fund cash. That's where the money would be coming from, because way back when, money was set aside just for this particular scenario with these older contracts for folks that are grandfathered into sick time buyouts or payouts when they retire.
Which makes sense, but, so that balance is about 400,000 or so, is that correct? Less whatever is the current retirements are? And I guess my question is how to smooth out that so it doesn't impact the current year's operations. If there's, obviously each year there's gonna be sick year buyouts, and this is a standard type transaction. Is there any considerations to refunding this as we go forward?
Well, I think that this is due to just two folks that are, I think that these are the last two that have this grandfather language. So this would increase the operational budget to cover that, those payouts for those retirements. But beyond that, I don't anticipate us having this come up again. But keep in mind that the funds are available, those funds are available in a trust fund that is separate from the general fund. So it's being held just for this particular purpose, just in the event that we have to go ahead and pay out these grandfather retirees.
Okay, great, thanks, Sean.
So when you say trust fund, is that not free cash?
No, it's actually funds, they're considered special reserve funds that are set aside for this particular scenario where we have retirees that have this grandfathered language where they can get sick time buyouts.
Okay, I see, you see free cash or other funding sources, I got you.
Yeah, it's another funding source, it's similar to stabilization, it's similar to, let's say, cemetery perpetual care, those are monies that are paid in, but they're in a different account where we would need authorization to use those funds.
Last question then, the 90-some odd thousand for this, that's to pay out sick leave for people that are planning to retire this fiscal year?
That is correct.
That's a lot, huh?
Part of the contract.
Yeah, 90,000 in sick pay.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's like 50-some odd weeks out of that.
Yeah. It's a lot.
They have a long-standing tenure with either, or, either the fire station or the police station, yes, it could result in, it could be 50 weeks, it could be a lot of time.
No, they've been employed for 20 years.
I haven't really taken it.
And there's more balance in their life, take some vacation.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Okay, I'm done, thank you.
All right, any, yes?
I did have a comment, I spoke with the harbor master, and if we had been MBTA compliant, which we're not, our share would have been $32,000. Situate has already contributed, their share, and so it's only fair that we, go along with them, but if we were MBTA compliant, that's what he told me, our share would have been $32,700.
For the dredging,
For the dredging.
for the contract?
Well, with the request right here, for this contract. So
Okay.
We're sharing the cost with Situate.
Right.
Because we're not MBTA compliant, that's why the amount is what it is.
Got it,
So look, almost 100,000 lost in grades.
Yeah.
got it. That's good information.
That's a hard number, it's one of the hard numbers you're seeing on this MBTA.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are definitely hard numbers.
It's fine.
Right, any other questions? All right, well, I'll make a motion to recommend Article 5 to town meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right. Article 6, that's schools.
That's me, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was actually not the school department found it, it was actually town administrator who requested it.
You guys, excuse me, someone's got a black Chevy pickup truck?
Is it Chevy? No. Ford?
The alarm's going off. It's parked over by the house on the far side of the parking lot?
No, that's not me.
No.
Shirt's black, I have a gray one.
Well, it's dark at night, and I'm old, so I can't tell.
It might be,
I couldn't hear him from where.
it must be Mr. Carrier.
Black,
It's right here.
black Chevy.
Wait a minute,
Sir?
we got some.
Dark pickup truck with alarms going off?
I heard it when I was.
Yeah.
All right.
Me too.
All right, let's quick discuss Dave's article.
Yeah, jump to Dave.
Yeah, so Peter recommended, I guess, for a special education stabilization fund, which some towns actually do. The purpose is to cover unanticipated expenses, such as special education services, out-of-district tuition, transportation of special education students, and recovered high school tuition. I received from Tom Miller, they use a circuit breaker reserve. Over the last 6 years, I asked if they've ever used any money or would we have used this money, and he provided me figures from 2020 to 2025. Currently in 2025, the balance would have been $33,125 we have left. So the special education expenses for FY25 is the operating budget is in a deficit of $226,376. And then he said most of the decrease of the carryover balance is not only determined by special education, but the dramatic increase of inflation due to transportation costs, facility maintenance, and utilities.
It's got an update. It's a red Honda Pilot, maybe?
Yep, that's fine.
It keeps going off, and then it resets, and it keeps going off and off again.
Thank you.
I think I just heard the neighbors yelling.
Wow.
So,
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Please, let's go lobbying to the far right, the police station.
He said the stabilization fund would need to be funded via free cash.
Okay.
There's nothing available in the student, school budget. And the funding limits is 2% of the district's annual net school budget. I guess the potential risk of this is that the budget process may become dependent on that money, $250,000, as a fallback rather than prioritizing and being proactive on the budget to make sure that the special education needs are as close as possible. And currently, I'm not sure if there's any standardized reporting established so that the people or different groups will be able to see exactly what's going on. I did take a look at the budget real quick, and it did look like a lot of it came from transportation.
That's the biggest part, that's the whole 250,000 is worth of transportation.
That point about setting up reserve funds for, you know,
Rainy days.
something for rainy days as opposed, and then the reliance on it for the future is, I think, a troublesome thing. I mean,
Yeah.
if town administrator recommended it, he seems like he knows what he's doing, so, you know, it's probably a good idea, but.
That could probably be revisited if they do start doing it and it doesn't tend to move the way it should be moving, then future town meeting, it could be brought forward again, maybe. I don't know.
I think the inherent problem, and I don't know, but it's difficult to predict, you know, people coming into the town, families coming into the town, and which of the children are on IEPs.
Might as well take care of that, we can always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really a lot of, you know, that sometimes they come up short because you know, a number of special needs children came into the town that no, how could you know?
Right.
You have to, everyone gets served.
Okay.
Talk about baseball, something.
Yeah, we gotta wait. Uh-oh, back. He went out.
Just went out.
This one again?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just went out. Sorry.
That's right.
Artie's never gonna let us be here.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think it's
It
good.
might feel-
It's all good.
Such a
Yeah,
comfortable.
these car alarms are.
All right, one piece, everybody. Yeah, oh man, Melissa.
No,
Good.
so I just don't know why, I just kept it on lock, you know?
I said, if it gets broken into in the police station.
I know.
Something's really wrong.
Okay, that's great information. Swain, any concerns, are we prepared to vote on this?
I'll just ask a quick question.
Sure.
To Vin's point about the unpredictability of students who may need services, it would seem to me then that there could potentially be years where this request is down, right? It's a lesser request. So, initially, I agreed with Scott that we should, you know, gather up a subcommittee and kind of try to get ahead of this, but I'm not sure that we're able to, right? Or if there's any level of predictability, despite, you know, wanting to obviously balance the budget.
We would have to look at the budget itself and have that chance to really kind of go through it.
Sure. Okay. That was more of a clarification to me, I appreciate it.
Okay. Let's wait a minute. That's interesting to read.
This is a new fund.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
this is something that, I guess Peter Moore probably said, hey, don't you have this? And they said, have what? And he said, but everyone has this.
Right, it's a, what do you call it?
Special ed reserve.
Yeah, but a common practice, like it's something he's seen in many other communities, and that's part of what he's been doing, is looking at.
So it's interesting, Danielle said, I asked her, does she have a peer group? And she said, oh, yes, and she rattled off some acronym for human resource managers working for the government. And she said, oh, yeah, I get a lot out of that. I wonder if town administrators have a peer group where
They do, and so there was actually an annual convention of not just town administrators, but select board members can attend, town treasurers and accountants.
You share information like this.
Yeah, absolutely. They usually have it in Boston, but there's websites with, you know, there's websites with common practice, best practices, all of that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And you have
Some
some email
are-
list that you could just tap an email and say, hey, has anyone ever faced X, Y, or Z? And someone comes back and says, yeah, here's what we did about it. And someone else says, yeah, this is what we did about it. Those things are like gold.
They are. They do have that, so schools do too, I believe, but that's cool.
It's just surprising that, you know, 2025, here we are.
I agree. I don't disagree.
Scott, you know
Oh, wait.
how they came up with the 250 number?
The 250, well, it says it has to be 2% of their budget, and I'm not sure exactly what the budget number, the only number I saw was like $5 million. So I don't know if it was somewhere off of that, but.
I think their overall was 15,100,000, and then, I don't know, 2%, it's like 1.66% is 250, I think, so I think it's within there.
I don't know
It might,
if everybody knows this, but I learned while researching this too. If I live here and I like to send my children to a private school, and that private school cannot offer these services, the town by right has to allow my children to go to that school for select periods of the day, of the week, whatever is determined, to receive those services. So that goes to the unpredictability of,
I know previously in one of the other meetings, the town meetings, there was there was some person, a kid going up to Beverly, and they were paying for the transportation concept.
I think that's all.
That's what
Okay, any other questions? We prepared to vote? Are we good? So I'll make a motion to recommend Article 6, the town.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those, any opposed? All right, same, Article 7 is also a schools article. Mr. Swain?
Try it.
sure, I can.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
So my company basically works in construction, and they do a lot of public work, multiple schools, so I had our chief estimator go through the estimate for him, just to do a comparison, study of the estimate, and, he basically came up with, I think, 6.8 million, and the budget that the study was done was 6.3 million. He said that he works with the estimator that did this estimate a lot. He talks to them weekly. And he said they typically are a little bit lower than our estimates, and they typically always do a sort of a review and they kind of compare notes kind of thing. And normally they always bring it back up to sort of our estimate, which would be the 6.8. That is the construction cost only. That doesn't include the soft costs for, I don't know what's in the soft cost. That's something that they didn't publish yet, and we haven't been able to find, but typically it may be 10 to 15% of their, or 12 to 15% of the construction cost. So if you add the 15% on top of the 6.8, it ends up being about 7.8 million. So this falls within the range. There were some pluses and minuses on the unit prices that my chief estimator went through and marked up. So it's about a $500,000 delta from what we had from their estimate, and their number I think is a little bit low, but the budget should cover the 7.8. So I think ends up being a fair number.
That's excellent.
Yeah, really good.
That's really
This
good.
is a sort of comparison of the FEMA number, and then, the only question that I had is that there's a presentation that was done by the school saying it was a $7.4 million estimate. So the 7.4 number in their, presentation versus the 7.8 on here, there's a $400,000, I don't know if it's, sort of a contingency fund, just to make sure that we're conservative on the budget, which is normal. I would do the same, make sure that we have enough to cover, so we're not coming back to the till after, if there are changes during the construction. You don't wanna be coming back to the town and asking for more money, so. The only other question is, typically within that $1 million soft cost is an owner contingency, of design contingency. We've got that in this number here, it's 6.8, has that, about a $500,000 contingency in there. So if they have that number in the soft cost, there's an additional 500,000. So there may be $900,000 worth of potentially, not extra, but money in there in the budget to cover this. So I think it's more than enough to cover the cost. I think, the next few days, I'd like to talk to the school budget, school committee and make sure what their soft costs are, just to make sure that we're looking at the same thing. But for the information I have, it looks fine, and I feel comfortable saying
Okay.
that it's good.
Yeah, and Tom Miller would be a good resource for that.
Yeah, we reached out to him today, and he was tied up there.
Yeah.
I think they're in a meeting today right
So
now.
we just
So,
got the presentation.
Yeah.
so, I mean, notwithstanding that information, I still think that this is definitely very within reason. It's a good estimate overall.
About the waste, the cost of disposing the 100,000 square foot of, I would imagine it's considered toxic almost.
Yeah, basically, if it's built in 1963, which the school was, 99% chance it's got ACM on it. If they redid the roof in 1998, they might have removed it then, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember, I remember that modification, but I don't think we.
They might have overlaid some of it, so it depends.
But that's not even with that issue,
With theirs, it's, I personally don't know off the top of my head,
it's not unsubstantial.
no, the abatement is very expensive, and you typically separate operation.
So, couple things. Appreciate what you said about the contingency, the design contingency. That was first on my list of questions as we were going through there. To that end, is there any, in your experience, any play with that contingency number? Let's say, the project is what it is, save for said abatement work. You can pull from that a little bit, right? That could mandate that to an extent. As, when you were mentioning one presentation and one number versus the number in the article, so I think it's important to note, just for everybody as we vote here, we're voting on the number as written in the article.
Correct.
And anybody after that would be,
I think is a fair number.
Yep.
The other presentation number, I wasn't sure what that included, so this is,
Yeah, we have to go on what we have.
Yeah, here right
Anything
now.
after that would be a second,
right.
another additional motion or conversation.
Yeah.
And then I just think it's important to note, as, we're in a public forum here, that the amount of money we will be reimbursed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is incumbent on us moving forward with this, right? If we delay too long, we still need to replace the roof. And we are then on the hook for the entirety. I think, was it 49% reimbursement?
It's close to
Yeah.
60, but 49 by me, right?
It's 49. So, in other words, if we do, and again, personally, I don't see any reason to, and thank you very much for your diligence on this, but
Yeah.
if we don't move forward on this, we are,
Right, the roof,
we are
the
very
roof still
much,
is
the
there.
roof is still leaking, we've heard from the maintenance staff, from the operations staff, and we're still very much on the hook for an additional 49%.
I think that's something.
Just an important point of order.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Anything else on Article 7?
Good job. The schedule of values, was that based on that 137 page section?
Yes.
Can you tell me what's on page 52, paragraph?
I gotta give credit to our chief estimator.
Yeah.
I've been blind for 2-3 weeks, so
Yeah.
he did it for me for a favor, so, and he's the expert in my company at this, so he definitely,
This is the kind of stuff you like to, you want to bring to the table, it's really good.
just so everybody knows too, that, my company does this work, but we're excluded from any work in town.
Sure.
On any work in town, because I'm on this board, our company will not participate in the work in town, just so everybody's aware.
Well, I
But this is
appreciate
a
that.
third party, just kind of a gut check estimate as a, this is what we do for a living, so we might as well check it.
No, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We absolutely do. All right, if there's no other questions, I'll make a motion, thank you. Motion to recommend Article 7 to town meeting. But, second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, Article 8 is open space, I think that's you, Ben, isn't it? Or no? Oh, it's not, sorry, that's right. It's, Mr. Macklin, yeah.
Yeah, CPC funds are available to support this request. I've toured the property, and this acquisition would really allow residents of Marshfield to enjoy the town-owned land in addition to provide an opportunity for more people to observe the Veterans Wall and appreciate their contribution to preserving our democracy. It's a beautiful piece of property, just down by the gas station on 139. The funds are there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, whenever I have my car inspected, I go and sit there. It is.
Yeah.
It's great. We're very lucky that we can have space like that in this town, so. Any questions on this? Okay, then I'll make a motion to recommend Article 8 to town meeting. And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks. Mr. McAleer?
I have 9 also.
Yes.
Again with Sue Karen, if you know what, you all know what the property is?
Yeah.
Anybody not? So I toured the property with Sue, it's beautiful, there's 18 acres, a little bit more, and it'll just provide more habitat for wildlife protection as it butts up to more town-owned land. There's a lot of town-owned land up there adjacent to it, abutting up to it, and this would be, I think there'd be one space for affordable housing, one affordable housing house could go in there, but it would just give us 18 more acres of land and wildlife protection. It's beautiful up there.
And that was the building that was already there, or it was all.
No, there's no building, this is just forest.
You know what's St. Christie's?
I was just talking about the,
You're going near the airport,
low
probably.
income housing.
No, just the property, you know where St. Christine's Church is? You go beyond that, and then there's a traffic light, head down the hill, and on your right, there's a gas station. It's before that, on the left side, right in there, and it's beautiful,
I
and a
mean, must be
affordable house.
misremembering.
Yeah, one affordable housing unit could go in there.
Yeah, so I watched the zoning board of appeals, a couple of them, where Greg Morse, they were proposing a subdivision, a little cul-de-sac, I think it was 10 homes, and it required a lot of fill to be brought in, and that's what they were going for, a special permit for the fill. And so it's buildable with special permits and zoning board of appeals permission. But there are wetlands on at least, well, they pulled the houses out of the wetlands, but they're in the buffer zones, as they call it, so.
It makes, and the CPC funding again is there
Yeah.
to purchase.
Well, I'm not challenging, I'm just saying that, so just doing the math for the price and the number of acres, it works out to be about $134,000 per acre of truly buildable land, which is a hell of a bargain in Marshfield these days. But I think they probably could have gotten a better price myself, because they weren't gonna get that permit. Bob Galvin pretty much cut them off with what they were trying to do, so this is their fallback position. But better that we buy it than we let it
Yes.
sit there, no doubt in my mind.
And take a tour of it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And again, this effectively extends the wetland protection.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also improves our gland calculation, which is just building more of a buffer on 40B. This is a 40B friendly town as opposed to a compliant, requires compliance.
Okay, any other questions for me? So I'll make a motion to recommend Article 9 to town meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and Donna, you have 10-2, right?
Bid.
Who does?
Sure, bid is.
Oh.
It's,
Oh, Vin does, right?
No, I don't think so.
Hold on, Article 10.
CPC.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the background is Daniel Webster Law Office and Museum is in need of re-siding, painting, and a new roof. The subject article requests town meeting approval for expending the funds necessary to perform maintenance improvements for this town-owned historical building. The cost, estimates by contractors, but for the Community Preservation Committee placed the cost of improvements at approximately $65,550. This estimate includes a contingency budget of $8,500, and with the funding source being the historic line item in the Community Preservation Fund. At the spring 2025 town meeting, Marshfield voters approved funding this line item to a level of $252,390. So the estimated expenditure of $65.5 is much less than what's in the budget. So, and that's where I leave it open for questions and discussion. We have the money. It's a, one of these historical pieces of our town that we can't let fall by the wayside.
Just to be clear, the general public approved a greater amount and somehow it came in cheaper.
No. So the budget is just for historic improvements in the town, keeping up the historic pieces of our town. And this is gonna tap into that for a lesser
Less than
amount.
the
So there's
budget
other
entire-
money available for other.
Not draining the budget.
Right, that's right. The budget is, the umbrella is big enough to handle this and other things.
So effectively, no change to the budget.
No.
Any other,
So how do you vote on an article that doesn't have a dollar amount?
I don't know, I had to dig, I went, I got Sue Karen on the phone and, talked to whoever I could get, Fred Russell. Yeah.
But I would think that
How
would have to
why,
be,
why we wrote up a warrant article without a number in it?
I mean, we could try to get a number if we want to wait till vote on it Monday.
The number is what they gave you, that's the cost, but why it's not in the article.
Oh, so they give you that number?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
procedurally, at town meeting,
And they amended on the floor.
they have to amend the article to say it's a $65,000.
Well,
I mean, you can't vote.
the
no
CPC
check,
is gonna provide that if they don't mind.
They usually do at
They
town
will.
meeting, when they put the slides together by the time, it's a moving target sometimes, and so at town meeting, they will have the information. I think in the interest of getting the warrant out on time, sometimes they just don't have the number when they're printing the warrant.
We asked Sean if he, do you know?
Sean, do you know anything about that?
Yes, that's actually correct, so I mean, they're still getting quotes, they couldn't gather information, so it's not enough time to put a solid number. And what is voted at town meeting, just keep in mind, is the motion. Motion is legally binding, or the item that the townspeople are voting. The warrant is just advising them that this will be part of town meeting, and this will be one thing that will be voted. Unfortunately, the dollar amount didn't make it into the warrant when it was published, because I don't think the number was solid, but in the motion, there is a number, so there is a solid number that will be voted on at a special town meeting.
And Vin, you're telling us that number is?
65,550, actually,
Okay.
with a,
Thank you, Sean.
plenty of money in the budget to handle it, in their line item.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
So my feeling is that this article should be supported by the town meeting voters. And
Okay. So then I'll make a motion to recommend Article 10 to town meeting. Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, Article 11, I believe that's me. So, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
So, that's right, so, this basically, is to borrow, transfer from available funds the sum of $735,000 for acquisition. This is that land that we talked about, that's next to the airport, it's on Old Colony Lane in Marshfield, and, it's 91 Old Colony Lane. And basically, they're looking to buy this land to prevent, I met with Peter about it, and it's to prevent heliport construction, which we talked about, and it would be to our benefit to own this land while we can, because if we don't buy it, it could actually be purchased and turned into a heliport, which is not something we probably want over there. So that's kind of the gist of the article. And Sean, where's this funding coming from? Peter didn't tell me that.
I do believe, just read the motion.
It just says available funds.
I think that this is probably coming from free cash.
Okay. hopefully they'll make that clear in town meeting when we go to the floor. But it makes sense to me, I mean, it makes sense if we have the money in free cash to buy that road. But does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, what's the opposition with heliport in an airport?
It's in a residential area.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's really dense.
I think,
The airport is not, but I think this is where it would be close to homes.
Yep.
On the edge of the.
Don't we land helicopters now?
They
I don't know
have.
where our landing is for like a medical emergency, it's probably at one of the fire stations.
probably, but we don't have a designated heliport there. I do know there's a SOC there, and I do know that they will land. From my time touring and working, being over there is that. But I do think,
Emergencies are different.
somebody has proposed to reuse that land for a heliport. And
When we say heliport, we mean privately held.
it would be held by, so the airport itself is owned by the town of Marshfield.
Right.
But the heliport would be operated by the aviation company, it escapes me, that manages the airport.
Okay.
So,
Are there any zoning rules or anything else that might be used to prevent that? If we were to purchase it?
I believe if we don't purchase it, I believe they have they would have the opportunity to purchase it. So I think we have the opportunity to purchase it and as a town and not.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there were one of the zoning rules or whatever that the various departments have to approve building and things like that. But
I think town council, didn't they say there was also a lawsuit involved?
Yeah, it
Resolved,
dropped. And the advice that it would be dropped if we purchased the.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
So,
it's a small-
Somebody wanting to build the.
Yeah, this has
Yes.
come up before at town meeting. It's been,
Yeah,
They
the
only
only,
get a price.
I don't know, I mean, I'm in real estate, but I don't know enough about land like that.
It's like an acre, right?
Yeah, but it's also like what it can do, that it can
you're
do.
paying for the commercial profit it could make.
Zone,
Yeah.
not just residentially zoned, my guess.
ability to make money.
Right. that's
Right.
Is there a revenue source to having a heliport? Do we know?
I mean, for the companies that operate helicopters, there is, I mean, obviously the town would get tax dollars probably from that, but, I don't know enough about it to say what that amount would be.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, candidly, the only real marching order information I received that seemed actionable was a vote to procure this land is a vote to end the lawsuit.
right,
That's really,
Nice thing.
yeah, in some regard, but I guess my point is I don't know the competing opinions in order to find it.
How big a case we have versus what they have,
right.
chances of them.
My only question is, after we purchase it, then what happens? Do we knock it down? You know, it's just a grassy lot, or
Next year, there'll be an article to invest X dollars to build
$300,000
something.
to renovate it?
Right, or build.
That's one of the things I'd like to
I
see.
just wanna make sure that we
We buy this
plan
this
ahead.
year, 2 years from now, we're gonna invest in X two.
Did they say there was a historical site, but then they built on, like a historical house, but then they added it?
Yeah, but I think they said that house is not designated, it's gonna be knocked down. I mean, it's a knockdown,
Yeah.
so I think that's,
It's a total disrepair.
right, yeah. Okay, any other questions, concerns? Do we feel comfortable voting on this? Or not voting? I mean, there's gonna be a presentation at town meeting. But typically, a lot of times the articles get submitted on the deadline, and then more information comes out, and then at town meeting, it's gonna go to the town, and they're gonna decide whether this moves forward or not. But, if it's coming out of available free cash, and it's an opportunity to end a lawsuit, I don't, necessarily have a problem voting to recommend it, but it's up to you, everybody. And doesn't have to
Don't
be.
know enough about the lawsuit.
I'm inclined to abstain from voting on it until town meeting, frankly. I know that doesn't really help for us to make a recommendation.
Well, we'll have a meeting before town meeting.
We can gather more information, but we have to have a recommendation prior to town meeting, that's our job. Our job is to recommend to the town what we think as as an information gathering, that we can't go to town meeting and say we have no.
Understood. We cannot make that decision at our pre-town meeting meeting. So
That's a great,
lot of words.
that's a great question. I have to ask that question. I mean, I agree,
I
I'm
think,
kind of in the same boat as you.
I am-
I don't see enough here to bring you over the top.
so why don't we punt it till Monday?
Yeah, and I'll talk to
Even
Peter
before the meeting,
again.
I'm gonna look into it, I'm gonna try and find that video of where I saw people debating it on either the ZBA or town meeting, and that there were points being made one way or the other. I just have to.
So
look
there's
at where
something
it's-
up there on YouTube or on the channel?
Yeah, it's on the Marshfield, her channel.
yeah.
Can we can we take some action here to assign some homework as to not be, kind of like negligent about it? Maybe a volunteer or some, or, you know,
Well,
whether.
you know, as a board, we voted at town meeting to abstain.
Sure.
Due to lack of information, and then let the town vote.
Well, we can do that. But let me see, before the Monday meeting, let me see if I can gather some more information. I met with Mr. Moran, and he kind of explained that the idea was to avoid, avoid the heliport and to avoid the lawsuit. It seemed like it was a good use of money, but at the end of the day, I didn't know if there was much, I didn't gather much more information than that, but I can gather more information from him and see.
And my main question would be, totally understood avoiding a lawsuit with the town, like,
Right.
that's a no-brainer. But to your point, okay, we don't want helicopters going in there. Who doesn't and why are they not currently going in there? And, proximity-wise, is there a difference? I would understand if the helicopter was going to land right here, when normally it's
Right.
either away, whatever. And it's
I mean,
not.
if it's a noise thing, isn't there jets taking off over there?
Again, and some of that may be,
Well, there's been a lot.
relative to how close residences are. I don't feel prepared to.
I mean, I know the neighborhood a little bit, and the houses are 1 acre lots basically,
Yeah.
or less. and
Okay.
So there's houses right next to it, and
Yeah, so it's-
literally across the street, there's a house.
I think it was already
right across the
ready,
street.
And
So
Seemed to be
it
right
would
up
be
on it.
helicopter landing in your next door neighbor's yard.
Whereas if they were landing at the airport proper,
It would be,
not
it's
so much.
kind of got a little bit of separation, I would think, so.
Well, that's
To me, if
information.
I were a neighbor, I would not want a heliport there at all, so.
I totally
We,
understand.
in my mind, we owe it to the neighborhood.
Right.
But the other thing, again, I think that 1 acre lot size, I think that's what this is, $730,000 for an acre.
Yeah.
That's not too far
Again,
off.
Because it's got a house on it.
And understood too that some, the corporation, the company, the aviation company running it can drive that value up by showing how much they could generate in tax revenue. And so I guess I'm more than opposed to the price as it stands, as I am to just not knowing both sides of the coin.
Right.
Average home price in Marshfield's 935,000, so that's.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's like
that,
an
that
over-
sounds true, and to me, I think in the context of the budget difficulties we're facing, like these sort of questions deserve a little bit more scrutiny than they may have gotten in the past. I hear the whole point about the neighborhood and all that, I just don't know enough about the lawsuit, and, because it's not so clear to me that you get out of the lawsuit if you can. I mean, not if you have a good case, I don't know, what.
Sure.
If you find that,
Video,
send it around.
I'll send a link.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. I almost went stir crazy watching these this morning, it was.
Yeah,
You're gonna look for that to extract some information. Are you gonna double down with Mr. Moore?
I'm gonna talk to Mr. Moore. I'm gonna see if I can talk to him.
And maybe I'll double down with Attorney Galvin.
Yeah.
And just see what,
I mean, I
we
just
can
maybe.
get some bullet points here.
Okay.
And hopefully.
Sure.
We'll have the ability to make a
All right, so,
Judgment, Monday at 6.
yeah, let's try, and the good news is they'll all be there as well, so if we have to, we can grab them and bring them in, so, but let's try to get them before that.
Yeah.
Don't forget, town hall closes at noon on Fridays, just letting you know, and, but that doesn't include Mr. Galvin.
Yeah, he's
Well, I'm gonna try it
But I can try, I have Mr. Moore, and
He's been texted, he's at a,
he's very
a
responsive.
planning board meeting.
Yeah, he's very responsive when it comes to tax
Absolutely.
and calls, so. All right, so we'll table that till Monday, makes complete sense to me. So we'll go on to Article 12. This is also mine, I talked to Mr. Moore about this. This is basically, I think this is the article I asked about at our meeting, that because the Commonwealth is now, it's Mass General Law, it's become a Mass General Law, 138, Section 12D, allowing a licensee authorized to sell only wines and malt beverages for on-premise, which is, as everyone knows, is in, by the drink. Consumption to trade in said license for a license to sell all alcohol beverages for on-site consumption. And provided further that said all alcohol beverage license shall not be transferable, or basically what this means is, they'll pay a reasonable fee for this license, but the full liquor license that we currently have in our town are fully transferable if they were granted as full liquor licenses. And so if someone bought the restaurant, or someone closed a restaurant and they own that liquor license, they could transfer that license, okay? And so it would be transferable. In this case,
Within the town?
within the town. But this is that if someone has a wine and beer license and they upgrade to the full liquor license, that if they close down or stop serving liquor, they could not transfer the license. So it's really just an opportunity to be able to sell full bar while they're open, but not transfer it to another future as part of their sale of the business or something like that. So if someone sold a restaurant A to, and you probably know a little bit about this. Right.
We're going through this in Boston right now, so.
So it's the law statewide, so you know,
Yeah,
right? So,
this, and I believe Boston is going to adopt it as well, that if you purchase a malt license, beer and wine, versus an all alcohol license, the malt license is markedly cheaper, and also there is a quota for how many all alcohol licenses you can have. The initial opposition was, hey, I paid more for my all alcohol license, right? So to kind of circumvent that and to assuage those concerns is, yes, less was paid for the beer and wine and malt license, but when they turn that in for an all alcohol license, they cannot then turn around and sell it. They cannot transfer the business to someone else. They cannot sell the business. And a lot of times what happens is, and I've gone through this in my professional career, we're opening a business, there's been a defunct bar for a number of years, 10, 15 years. That licensee is holding on to that license, waiting for a buyer, right? So I'll buy that at gray market price because the quota is full. Could be $600,000, frankly. That person can now cash out. That's a little bonus. That cannot occur with this process. And it also very important that whatever the quota is for all alcohol licenses, by turning these in and turning them into all alcohol licenses, it doesn't cap out the quota. So folks that still want to follow the full process of getting the all alcohol license can still do that. These are not part of the quota for all alcohol licenses. They don't have to.
that's it, the quota, yes.
It all obviously still has to be, to open a restaurant, to serve any level of alcohol, it still has to be voted on, still has to be zoned appropriately. You can't just open one in your basement.
Right.
No changes to the zoning.
I'm a little confused on the quota thing. If we had 100, but this could be 101.
Correct.
It's not transferable.
There's 100 available, let's say, right? And let's say we're using 99. If one individual turns in their beer and wine to get an all alcohol, we're not now at 100. We're still at 99 because this is a separate transaction.
Yeah, that was my confusion at the meeting, because my experience in this Commonwealth and in this town signing all the common vic licenses and alcohol licenses is you only have so many. I mean, perfect example is Don Bravos, who in town they only had a seasonal liquor license. So out of season, which the summer was the season, they had to make margaritas out of wine, basically, or malt beverages, which is a crime, number one. Two, margarita made out of malt beverages is a crime. But that's what they were at, so now they can actually, they did end up getting one of the full liquor licenses, so they could transfer their license, but
They went through the formal,
they
full
did.
process.
There was another restaurant, and they wanted a full liquor license, but there was no above quota liquor license available for purchase. Then they can still serve, but they would not.
And they're giving up their right to profit off it,
Correct.
post-operation.
Right. Right. So, I think it's just pro-business.
So what's in it for the town to do this?
I mean, get more tax money. I mean, that's, if someone's serving full alcohol, alcohol has a huge margins in tax, as you know, and so taxes that they could sell more, it's very pro-business, it's helping restaurants survive and grow, would you say that?
Absolutely.
That's really the whole point of it, because it's a statewide thing, and they're trying to really boost it.
Who in town, or what restaurants in town are only under a malt license? Yeah,
It's a great question. I don't know anymore. I mean, I knew, and then there's seasonal, which is another whole thing. But there are a few, I think.
I don't know if there are any.
That could be, Stellwagen is under a farmer's license. A farmer.
But the other point is, just to be clear, as a Commonwealth initiative, this was not necessarily put forth by the town, it's being asked, are you interested in doing this, are you gonna adopt the Commonwealth initiative? And it wasn't designed, put it this way, it wasn't designed by Marshfield for Don Bravo, for an example, just
Right.
because their name's been said today.
It's okay.
It's, in general, restaurants as a whole, the Commonwealth thinks this is it's a pivot from the blue laws of
20 years ago.
Yeah,
Right.
small pivot.
So it's really just bringing it, the town has to approve if we're gonna be able to offer this. Town meeting does. Okay. So, I'll make a motion to recommend Article 12 to town meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, so now we are at Article 13, all right?
So, we'll bundle 13, 14, and 15, because they all,
Right,
if one goes, the others go.
the others will know, yeah, right.
All right, so this is, and let me tell you, you want to look at something depressing, watch the town meeting from December of 2024, and watch when this article came up. It was a bloodbath, especially for Rick. So, I'll go into my spiel here. Town meeting voters have twice rejected these articles, and the town has entered into a lawsuit against the Commonwealth, citing that the MBTA Communities Act constitutes an unfunded mandate and usurps the rights of town meeting voters. On June 6, 2025, the lawsuit was dismissed, and on December 2024 ruling by the Supreme Judicial Court found that the Attorney General can enforce the law. Marshfield has failed to file an appeal to that. So those are the two things that are different from the town meeting. So after our town meeting, the Supreme Judicial said the law is okay. They have to, they sent it back and said you have to make some modifications to it because they wrote it without proper commentary and whatnot. The state did what they needed to do and they got past that. But the court said it's a law. You can enforce the things that are in the sanctions against towns that don't comply. And then on June 6th, they tossed our lawsuit and we filed an appeal. So those two things have changed, which is, I'm sure the first question is why are we voting on this for a third time? We told you twice, and the count was 2/3. It wasn't like 51-49. It was 67% to 33%. And that was a big town meeting. If you were there, it was filled. Very raucous. But anyway, so the planning board has again advanced the overlay district shown on page 20, if you haven't looked at the picture, because the Attorney General has announced her intent to commence enforcement action against non-compliant towns in January 2026. There is no predicting what the specific enforcement actions the Commonwealth will take, but it is unlikely the actions will be designed to accommodate the best interests of Marshfield residents. So cost-wise, just by adopting this, There are no direct immediate costs associated with these articles. Should a developer acquire property in the overlay district, any infrastructure costs such as a packaged sewage treatment plant would be fully borne by the developers and would have to comply with Title V and Marshfield strict WRPD, that's Water Resource Protection District, nitrogen loading restrictions. Ours are more stringent than the state's. So that's one of the advantages, is that we can set those kind of limits. We can set the limit on the number of stories that a complex can be if purchased, and we can set the nitrogen loading restrictions, that's an enormous feature. The state, if they were to come in and say, you're not complying, fine. Here's Joe X, he's gonna be your special master, he'll figure it out. Joe X would go and he'd look around the town and he'd say, yep, put 6 stories up here, put, and whatever you wanted. That's the fear. And they wouldn't have to then comply with our Water Resource Protection District rules, according to the planning board. So that's the threat. And when it comes to recommendations, I'm kind of at a loss here. So I wanted to leave it at that. Some of the common things you hear if you talk to people who are not really knowledgeable, they worry that, so is this article going to make us put the Greenbush line into Marshfield? No. Is this going to make us fund GATRA? No, we don't have, nothing more than we're funding already. If we do provide a subsidy, that won't change because of this. This is just to put the overlay district in that section of town that you see on page 20. And when you look at what's there, people bring up Quirk and they say, well, Quirk will sell their property and Quirk will become a huge apartment complex. Well, maybe, who knows? But when you think of a sale, it's not the sale of the property, it's the sale of the business plus the property. So Quirk isn't going to sell their property for just the cost of the land and say, good luck, developer. They're going to have to buy Quirk out. Now, I don't know what Quirk makes and what they'd offer that to, but it may not be profitable at all for anything to be built there, and certainly not immediately. Condominiums would have to be bought up one at a time. And so there's a lot of, when you look at, and no one will ever get the chance to say, oh, this is a town meeting, they're going to be pitchforked and axed out of the building if they try. But Greg's put together a nice plan. He's really picked an area that's going to be very, very difficult to put things on. And but at the same time, he's tried twice, and the town has tried twice, and they've been told in no uncertain terms, no. So that's kind of where I stop. My inkling is no. I voted no twice, but at the same time, we're now at a point where we've run out of court fights, and we've run out of special considerations with the Constitution of the state. It's not going to happen.
I think the difference is we thought we could win the battle, and we lost the battle. January 1st is, the state's gonna come in and tell us where it's gonna go. Unless we tell them now that it's going here, and then there's 0% chance of it getting built in this area that Greg picked, and there's 100% chance of it going where the other 2 locations.
Yeah.
So why don't we determine our own destination and select this area and say, this is where it's gonna go, and, it's 99.999 chance that no one's gonna buy Quirk and spend $2-3 million to knock it down, and then spend another, X amount of $1 million to build it, when they can only do 4-story. And then they have to do a sewage extension, they gotta get water,
Yep.
now they have to have a well feeding all those areas, unless we have water in that area too, but I'm not sure.
I don't believe we do.
So it's nearly impossible to build in this area that Greg picked.
And to be clear, to underscore a couple of things, well said. It's not just that they have to put in septic, they have to put in packaged sewage treatment, effectively mini sewage treatment plants.
That's right.
It's far and beyond the septic system in my app.
It's cost prohibitive
Yeah, absolutely.
for anybody to go in there and develop that land, that's why he picked that.
Mr. Michael.
One thing also to consider, if they want, I think it was down off South River Street, but how do you get sewage under the South River? Would be massive expense to try to provide.
To extend the pipe of what's
Extend the
39.
pipe, I mean, so where they
Oh, we won't
proposed,
know.
right up, We were right at 139.
And then the status then of our lawsuit right now is that it's in appeal.
That's correct.
And the newest development, and please step on me if I say this incorrectly, is that originally, and I thought this, if we vote to adopt this, we're effectively saying we give up. But the newest development is we can continue our appeal simultaneous with picking a rather difficult area.
Yeah, so here's my thought, and I've been,
Allow it.
I've been, trying to get an answer from Galvin, and I haven't been able to. Tomorrow I'll talk to him. So what I'm thinking is that we gotta find a middle ground for the town to latch on to. It's a polarizing issue, so you got people on both ends. There's always some that are shiftable. And what would make them feel comfortable is exactly what Peter is saying, that if we amend the article and say, yeah, keep it the way it is, but add on that if we approve this, it requires us to maintain our lawsuit, our appeal, and if the state takes back the requirement, because that's being talked about too, it's not very likely, or they find in our favor, we want a town meeting warrant article prepared to go back to the old zoning. So if we amend the article and put words like that we're gonna keep fighting, and if it changes, we're gonna change the zoning back, I think we might be able to shift some, at least calm down the crowd, is what I'm hoping for.
Hey, that's a great idea.
But I don't know if that's a legal article to force people to do, force the
Well,
town.
it's the thing about getting your head out of the sand, I mean, you just can't stick your head in the sand. It's the intelligent decision, those of you that weren't on the board, we voted for this for the last.
Oh, Rick got
'Cause it seems like
excoriated. It was, they were asking about his LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Demanding,
It's not.
it's ugly.
But as to just a general point, our current strategy, we're talking about like a battle strategy, is sue the state.
Throw 'em out.
Voting to adopt this, we're appealing, so effectively we're still suing the state in the large picture. If we vote to adopt this, it's now not just sue the state, it's, I hear you, this is gonna be very difficult, and I'm still suing.
That's right.
I mean, now we're a two-pronged approach.
That's right. It gives us options.
And one way or the other, right? They pick that, good luck developing it. They don't pick that, or excuse me, we win our lawsuit,
We win.
well, I understand, and I too voted twice, voted it down as a general citizen, yeah. But I think we have a lot more information now, we have a lot more lineage, we've seen the reactions.
And the people, the towns that were most vocal are falling by the wayside. Milton they voted their MBTA district in now, they're not fighting anymore. Duxbury just turned theirs over.
And I want to be very clear, I still don't like it.
Oh, no,
I don't think anyone likes it.
I'm not a proponent of the way at all.
The fire of 1,000 suns, literally,
Yeah.
hate it.
I just feel like we're stuck.
We
And
ready
add
to
to
move on
that.
all three articles?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just gonna say, add to your two-component argument that we can still keep this going and change it, and then to the point somebody else made, it's gonna be put somewhere else anyway, so that those three together are especially powerful, I
So
think.
let's put it in the district that is the area that's the most difficult in the town to develop.
Absolutely.
That meets the state requirements.
And there are areas in this town that are not that way.
Enterprise Drive
That would be
is
available.
with open land.
January 1st, the developer's gonna walk down Enterprise Drive and say, oh, let's
That
put it
develop
there,
law,
and it
right.
gets built tomorrow. And
Yeah.
this is not gonna get built.
Absolutely.
So,
Now, could the state change their mind and pick whatever they want to do? I mean,
not if we pick it, apparently.
originally we were only having 4 grants that were they were assigned to this law, and they'll just keep on adding and adding and adding. So, there's no guarantee right now that the state, they might look at it and say, that's great, and we figured out that we can't build there. We might decide that this is not a feasible place and decide to move it to Enterprise Drive or somewhere else.
There are
As far
other
as-
towns that have done the same thing, like purposely put it in a place where they know it won't be built upon.
My
It's
other
not yet built.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Swain.
Yeah, my other point is, you know, they are gonna look at this and try to do something different. And, you know, you can put it on the thing, if they vote it a third time no or yes, can the people bring it back again? And then we might be sitting here doing this thing for another period of time. I just don't feel like the city is, you know, this could be our biggest asset to school, and if they can build it there somehow, some way, you're gonna have apartments, Section 8, whatever, and now our biggest asset to school could be in a place that we don't wanna have it.
I have just a question. I wonder, and this is definitely a question for Attorney Galvin, but to your point, which I think is a very fair point, if we adopt this and then the state says, oh, I see what you did there, not interested, we're going another way, I feel like as not a legal scholar, that's a different lawsuit, because the law says we can take it, we can put our restrictions, our zoning on it, we have. Now you're reneging or
Moving the goalposts.
you're moving the goalpost, that's a totally different lawsuit. Now you're not following the law, not us.
My point with the lawsuit is, if we continue with the lawsuit, we're voting yes, the judge is probably gonna say, well, you've already approved it, so why you know what I mean? It's,
Well, but this is, we have a legal scholar here. I mean, you can agree to something and say, but, or you can enter into an agreement, but still reserve the right to sue.
Yep, yeah. And I think you're right about if they did something that, no, that's okay. If the law is pretty clear that we can do this, which it appears to be, according to Attorney Galvin and others, then if the state were to disregard that, it would be another cause for a lawsuit. They'd really have to change the law first.
I just don't see the politicians in changing the law, you know? They had an opportunity, our politicians had an opportunity to do it.
No, I mean, they'd have to make it even more strict,
Yeah.
worse than it is now.
The problem is this language bundled in a huge law. And we had, at one of our meetings, this is always like, we gotta give this up to get this in our law, so that's.
I also think this is the opportunity where if the townspeople don't like what the state is telling us, then now's the opportunity to tell the people that we voted in, like, we don't like this, we'll vote you out if you keep pushing this. So other people have said that to me, so, if you don't like what people are telling you, then vote them out. Of course.
Yeah, what are the words? You voted for this?
Yeah, right, it's the same thing.
Okay, so, I guess you're gonna make me get up there, aren't you?
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I mean, I would hope that I would ask for civility and, you know, respect. I mean, I think that we've gone through this, and this is a very personal thing for some people, but it's also there's a lot of information that's out there, but there's a lot of truth to what everyone's saying in this room, and I think ultimately, what really hits me is we want to not lose our right to continue to fight. And if you don't do this, there's a very good chance you will not only did you lose the first fights, not the whole war, but the first fights, you will not have the opportunity to fight again. And you just never know. And the other thing is, politicians come and go. And at the end of the day, there's going to be another governor someday. I mean, I don't know when, but there's going to be. And there's going to be new elected officials. And, you know, just like every other thing, there's going to be time changes things. I mean, if you just don't know what's going to happen. I do believe, this is me, in my personal opinion, I do believe this is the hardest place in this town to make it happen. The hardest. And I do believe Mr. Guimond and his team have spent countless hours trying to figure this out, to find the middle. And I just don't know, I don't know another solution right now. Some of them could just continue to fight with no other solution. It's just, I don't know. It's gonna cost us a lot of money.
On a more interpersonal note, I have to say this, Mr. Guimond is getting vilified as well, and he is not personally, as an individual, bringing this forward in defiance of the townspeople. He is doing research and an investigation that is assigned to him in the best interest with the information he has available. has expressed time and time again, whether anyone has listened, that he too detests this ruling and this law and doesn't think it's a good idea. He's doing his best to find a solution and understands that it's unpopular work that needs to be done. I have to say that.
Yeah. Okay.
It meets the land area requirements, it's right along the Gatra bus line, so it hits a lot of all of the areas that the state law requires, so. I recommend that we approve this, and if you want me to get up there, I was only kidding, I'll get up there and say,
I mean, it's
pretty simple, as short and sweet as possible, and,
I think that's the key.
yeah.
all right.
I'll
Then-
second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Swain, okay.
Do we have to do each article individually?
No,
They're
that's
bundled.
13, 14, and 15
I
bundled
mean,
together.
13 doesn't pass, 14 and 15 move withdrawn.
Right. And
It's
if
the one
13
that's-
passes, 14 and 15 have to go as well.
Okay. And then my understanding,
Yes, you are
Yes.
correct.
Yeah, so
16,
go ahead.
17, and 18 are being withdrawn. They are not being advanced by the planning board, so we can blow right past them.
Which ones, 17 and 18?
The next three, 16, 17, and 18. And I lost my place here. 19, 20, and 21 get bundled together, at least in my mind, they get bundled together.
okay,
So let me read my spiel, and it's short. The subject articles will make minor editorial updates to 3 sections of the town code. None of these revisions involve substantive changes to the town's code governance model. There is no cost other than small administrative costs incurred by the staff at Town Hall as a result of improving these articles. Any cost incurred is within the operating budgets of the departments. And I recommend that we accept it. So this is just cleaning up language. If you read the articles, it's changing acronyms and whatnot to match current things. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it.
yeah, I mean, this is the time, typically just for informational, this kind of things happen at SDM, because it's just a good time to clean up things and as verbiage changes, especially we're a 400-year-old town, right, so things change. So that's pretty much what this is, but if anybody has any concerns or anything, they can talk about it,
I recommend we recommend to the town meeting to approve this.
but 19, 20, and 21 together.
That's correct. They're all editorial.
Any concern with that? All right, so motion
Second.
made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
All right, so 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26 are all similar. They're a little more complicated, but not a whole lot more. So the backstory is that Greg Pimond and Andrew Stewart, that's the town planner and building commissioner, got together, and based on their experience, they cleaned up the zoning use table in our bylaws. And this is the result of their inputs. So the subject articles update various portions of section 305-5.04, table of use regulations. These revisions were based on discussions between the town planner and town building commissioner and seek to clarify and make better sense of the table. None of these revisions involve substantive changes to the town code's governance model. And the cost is the same deal as before. The administration of the town is gonna, clerical staff is gonna have to make the editorial changes in the bylaws and file them with the state. But that's all done under other duties as assigned. There's no additional money involved.
Any concerns, questions about these?
I think the one thing I rang on a lot in our joint meeting was the concern that certain entities were allowed to operate without these changes, and that was concerning, and I think it's worth reiterating that it all still is subject to approval. This is simply cleaning up the options they have to choose from with regard to approving to avoid those questions. It does not circumvent the process, and in fact, it gives it kind of more multiple choice options.
Okay. Good point. Okay. Would you recommend?
Yeah, the advisory board recommends approval, is what I'd like to say. The advisory board recommends approval of 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26.
Okay.
And I hope Jim Fitzgerald lets us bundle.
I bet he will, only because it
It
seems
saves a whole mush of time.
Yeah, that's the idea. So I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just so, I did ask Brian Murphy, I don't know that, he's in these articles more, and I asked Andrew Stewart, and neither one of them answered my emails, to give me any sort of up or down. So I know Andrew's gonna be in favor of it because he participated, but I figured Brian would be a good source, and he didn't answer.
Okay. Thank you for doing that. All right, so that's and so assessors, I believe that's Brian, right? Brian and Janet?
27 years.
27.
Jane and Brian.
Yeah. Brian, you still on?
I can do it.
Okay.
So this Article 27 is part of the HEROES Act to implement,
Go ahead.
sorry,
he's there, go ahead.
I can just, he's there.
No, go ahead. I can start talking.
Okay, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of General Law 59, Section 522J, which authorizes an annual increase in the tax exemption under various articles to make it 100% personal exemption. And as I said, this was part of the HEROES Act, and just asking whether Marshfield would agree to implement that for our town. And I think most people agree everything we can do for our veterans and heroes is a good thing for the town.
Jan, any explicit cost, or is this just clerical?
I just got home a few days ago, I don't know. Brian, are you on?
Yeah, Brian's on. Can you hear Brian?
Yes.
Did you
Do you
everything
know what the
down?
cost is of this Article 27?
No, not that it's not uncommon for similar towns our size as far as this exemption. I didn't get a chance to understand the dollar impact of this federal exemption. I don't think it's overly significant, and obviously it's a good benefit for the veterans in that class, so.
I asked that question, I think, on my note, I have 164,000 for disabled vets.
Okay. That's great.
So overall, so.
That's what I think they anticipated or estimated to be the cost of this.
Sean? Hey, Sean, are you on?
Sean?
Yes.
Does that sound correct, 165 grand?
I'm trying to have a really hard time hearing.
Sorry. 164,000 for,
27.
I'm sorry,
Article 27.
Article 27.
Yeah, that sounds about correct.
Okay.
Was this article recently proposed in the last year or two?
I think that there were other articles to provide some tax relief, other exemptions, but I think this is the last piece that they're putting forward. And this doesn't go effect in the current fiscal year, this will be effective July 1st of 2026.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody.
Next fiscal year, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to let the town know that this is, the cost is estimated to be about $165K
Yeah.
for our disabled veterans. When you add that, it's like,
Yeah.
Right, no, absolutely. Any concerns, questions about this? Yeah, right, good? We're good? Okay, so I'll make a motion to recommend Article 27 to the town.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we're on to,
So
so I just want to remind everybody, I mean, some of you may or may not know this, or if you've watched the meetings, we did vote on 30, 31, 32, and 33 at the last meeting. It was unanimously passed, but we had a quorum, so it's a legal vote. But obviously, anyone who wasn't at that meeting, if they had any major concerns, can bring them forward. I'm not a big fan of revoting when you have a quorum, but I just wanted to make it known that we did vote on those. So, right now, we're voting on, discussing 28.
It's in the minutes that we just approved.
That's true.
You know, we already.
I just like
Thank you.
people to know that, remind people, thank you.
I don't have any.
I had 30, 31, but whichever you want to do.
I'll do 28 and 29.
Okay.
Just, so we had 30, 32, 31, 32, and 33 after we voted on.
I believe so.
34.
34 we did not, because that's the vehicles, and we wanted to,
Okay.
okay. That's from, but, I'm getting old, so.
Getting better.
Yeah, time's like sweet, like, get that. Go ahead, Mr. McAvoy.
Article 28, I recommend we approve it. If this is simply consideration for your neighbor, when you read, when you read the article, it's consideration for your neighbor.
Yeah, the only problem I have, and I'm not subject to this, no one's complaining about my house running off into their property, I don't think they are. But, how do you prove this? So someone down the hill from where I live complains that I'm getting runoff from those houses up there. How does the town,
I don't know.
make that tie? I don't know.
I think it is, I mean, you just said it, it's
Very
subjective.
subjective, and, you know, it's
Observation.
a timing thing too, like, if the whole town is flooded, and you have a 3/4 inch condensate line coming out of your house, dumping into your yard, which runs downhill to your neighbor's house, and they say, you caused a flood in the whole town because your pipe, and they go to complain to the town, and the town says, I can't do anything about it, so that's why this article's written. I say, I'm gonna vote no to this one.
Okay.
Well, it does say you have to take an action to cause it. So it's not just,
Well, having, diverting condensate is an
It's
action.
subjective, because
It's an action.
it's who caused the flooding? Did that 3/4 inch line cause the flooding, or did the fact that the high tide is flooding the whole town? And
Well-
it's subjective, you know, if it's
I
a
hear
cause
your
of it.
point.
Yeah.
At least the way I read it, if there's a high tide,
Yeah.
that wouldn't count.
But if there's a sump pump in the basement pumping out, because the whole town's flooded and it's pumping out into your neighbor's yard, then the whole town's flooded in that area, then it's, I don't know, it's very subjective. And I agree with the intent, I mean, it's a good intent and it helps your neighbor, but it can be abused, but, you know, it can be abused.
Well, it's interesting, sorry to interrupt, but real quick, this explanation that any other type of artificial discharge of water on abutting properties, if that discharge or dumping causes flooding impacts, so I would think that would be not a good thing, even if it doesn't cause flooding impact, right? I mean, if you have a cup of
If it causes flooding.
space pumps, air conditioning, HVAC, watering, sump pumps, anything runoff, swimming pool water, even if it's not a flood, I still wouldn't let somebody's chlorinated water in my yard, even if it's a gallon.
Chris?
But it's,
I know of a situation, it was a number of years ago, when people would drain their swimming pools at night onto their neighbor's property.
huh,
It seems like something must have,
triggered.
yeah.
So I mean.
Exactly.
That's why
Several
it's
complaints, that's
consideration
why
for
they
your
wanted to
neighbors.
It was
I think the intent of this is it's well intentioned. And there have been situations like that. And I don't have a swimming pool, so.
Right.
That's me.
What I'd like to see, kind of going off what you're saying, at our joint meeting, I believe it was said that the complaint is issued, there's an investigative body, right, from the building department. That would come out, and they would have to issue you a summons for the monetary, the fines to start happening. But that's predicated on the investigation. I don't think that's well articulated here,
Mm.
and like, who is you know, is there a code enforcement individual who makes that determination? What's their background? What is it based on? Is there, are they, you know, are they using the plot lines? Are they?
I would assume it's Andrew.
Yeah, and which
Which is fine.
sounds great, I just, it's not reading that way to me. If it is, you know, if Andrew's making that, Andrew's designees are making that determination, following up on a complaint, making an on-site investigation, I think that's more reasonable. I would personally like to see the language tightened up a little bit if it's going to be something where we're finding citizens. I agree that the intent is, I have a swimming pool, I wouldn't drain it into my neighbor's yard, that's insane. But
It happened,
it could happen.
it has happened.
Certainly, I'm certain of it, and I don't want that to happen. But I think the vehicle for which we investigate that and find people for it needs to be tightened up, and perhaps it will be during the presentation.
So what you're proposing, Peter, and I'm kind of liking it, is in the violation and penalty section, instead of if after notice, maybe if after investigation and notice, or I don't know, you know, words
Or
that
the definitions
say
section.
that we found the true cause here. It's that house over there, and we could see the storm drains, and they have a sump pump that's pumping here, and it's showing up, you know, the flow path is pretty obvious. It has to be that kind of, you know, it can't be subjective at all, because, you know, if it's just, hey, it rained, went down my roof, into my gutters, into the, you know, where gutters drain to, and now down the hill, they're complaining that their basement's flooded, how do you prove that's mine?
Right.
And I don't have it.
So,
They propose an amendment to the language?
Probably, I don't know, is that,
Yeah,
or just, you know, don't approve this unless we type up the words.
I mean, amendment would have to come from the floor, right? It would have to be a vote.
Yeah, we can't propose it.
No, I mean, our job is to look at the article as written and
Okay.
make a recommendation, right? But somebody, one of us could do it as a citizen.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, as written, I agree with Peter that I don't think the language is tight enough to be a bylaw.
And maybe we make,
The only thing I want to ask, because now I'm correcting myself. We're amending, sorry, it's late now.
I know,
Get
I
home. The,
know. Please.
Hey, stop.
Stop, go ahead.
Marshfield Town Code Division 2, General Bylaws, Chapter 250, Streets and Sidewalks. Memory serves. That is under Andrew, and Andrew's designees already. So perhaps I'm overlooking the fact that that definition already exists, and we're now just adding a task to them. I don't know.
I can't recall, Mr. Sean, or DPW superintendent, what he said about this.
I thought Andrew mostly spoke to
Yeah,
this one.
so was my
Did,
recollection.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sure I did too, but I did ask, I thought I asked that question similar to what we were asking. And I was satisfied with the answer, but I didn't write down the note, because I thought it was pretty subjective.
My note was just that they had to serve you actually with the summons, you had to be there. They couldn't just, because there was a question about what if they just tack things to your door every 3 days, and that's, you know, $1,000 a day after you were on vacation or something.
I'm going with the right. I mean, ultimately, we have to look at what's written and decide if we want to recommend it as written, right? And maybe if we're not going to recommend, we say as a board, I mean, everyone gets to vote, obviously, but if we're not going to recommend as a board, then we say we're choosing to not recommend as written. And, you know, looking for more clarity on,
Less subjective language.
yeah, I mean, I
I'm
think,
good with that.
I don't know, I mean, I don't know if that's the right way to go, but it seems like the.
Well, we've done it before, we didn't approve an article, but the town still voted it in.
Well, that's always, I mean, listen, I've had articles 100% not unanimously not to recommend go through town meeting, things like that. I've had I've seen capital projects built.
It could be adjusted on the floor, people.
It could, and it might be.
So what he's saying as a board, we can't do that, but you as a citizen.
As a citizen,
I go
I
out
believe
and
that's
say,
true, I mean, I may be wrong.
I amend,
They can
propose an
adjust it on the
amendment
floor.
to the language, so it's less subjective, but we have to come up with that language.
I'm in favor of it only because of my experience.
Okay,
Swimming pool being drained, long time ago.
Right.
And I never thought about it. I just knew about it.
so do we, I mean, is the motion to not recommend at the article as written?
Yes.
Do you want a second?
Second.
All those in favor of not recommending as written? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
So,
And then we can,
that leaves the door open for any of us to.
Anyone's gonna talk to Andrew?
yeah, but we can, who's gonna take this article?
Well, I had the article, but I was in favor of it.
I understand. So, I mean, I can say, I can talk to it and
You
say,
want to talk to this one?
I can, if you,
All right, yeah.
I can say that we voted, we're not inherently against the intent of the article. We just believe that there would be more information about how this would be, you know, enforced. Or you can't, Paul.
Why don't I take it since it's in our.
Okay, go ahead, that's fine. All right.
Paul, do you have time to give Andrew a call and just let him know what this
I was gonna give him-
discussion was all about? So he might, or someone in, I don't know if Andrew's even a resident, I don't think he is, but someone ought to.
I agree, courtesy call.
Yeah, let him know,
Yeah.
and then maybe he could set up someone in the town to amend it so that it can pass.
So I don't think anyone's thumbing their nose at. the
No,
intent.
no one wants that.
No, that's a terrible thing to happen.
It's just the.
Right.
So we already go with that.
Yeah, that's
And I
right.
agree, you know, 'cause I think I asked, these things, you know, it's like Scott said, a little air conditioning continent, it's pumps, put 5 feet of water in my basement, I don't think
It's
so.
likely.
Right, anytime an article like, in my opinion, but anytime an article like this takes this much time to consider, there's something missing. Sure. It's not very cut and dry. So,
It needs to be
right,
digestible by the people.
absolutely, that's right. All right, Article 29.
Um,
John.
This bylaw was old and the DPW simply rewrote it to bring it into compliance. I recommend we approve it.
I mean, it seems pretty,
Yeah.
all right. Any,
Second.
all right, all those in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. All right, so we've gone through 34. I got 35. Okay.
All right, so.
Oh, you have 35, yes, that's correct. These are the, oh, wait,
Sections.
30.
30 and 30.
Oh, wait, we did, wait, my bad, 34 we have not, because it's the vehicles, that's you guys.
Correct, but we didn't do 30 yet.
I don't think 30 and 31.
I thought we did 30. In fact, I wrote down we did 30. Well, at the,
32, 33.
at the former meeting that you couldn't attend,
30 was at the form meeting, I apologize, okay.
I believe,
Oh,
I
okay,
mean,
policy.
right,
Read the minutes.
30 is good.
right? I have through 33.
Yeah,
31
I have 31, 32, and 33 were all
and
approved.
32. 30, 31, 32.
And 33 was the water fund, for the pumps, I thought we,
Yeah, I have that.
fluid, okay. Oh, I thought
I
you did,
think we did pass that, it was just a question of whether or not they had sufficient space.
okay,
I went down to see,
That's
I,
right.
I tried to get a hold of Clint, he just emailed me back this morning, he goes, oh, I'd love to, but I'm in Aruba. I said, "Nah, don't worry about it."
all right,
Did we
so
approve 31 though?
we did.
No, we did.
We did. And 32 and 33, but we had an additional question that we followed, just gonna get answered right about the spares. But we did approve it.
Yeah, we approved this spare pump.
My only question on, the language in the article as far as like available funds, why is that not spelled as free cash? What,
Oh, sorry, not to interrupt you, Brian, go ahead.
I'm just curious as to why the language isn't free cash, as to, like, what are the available funds other than free cash?
So for this article, DPW typically would take, they retain earnings for wastewater enterprise. So they can only do that on wastewater related items. So that's where they'd be pulling it from their retained earnings, not free cash.
Because Article 33 kind of specifies that as far as like water enterprise funds,
Mm-hmm.
and the DPW ones don't.
Oh, you're talking about, which article are you speaking of?
31 and 32.
31, is road reconstruction, which there is no, it's chapter 90, and there's no retained earnings for the road reconstruction. So that's why it is, where is it? That's why it's coming out of, I think it is free cash, right? Didn't Sean, are you there?
Yeah, it's coming out of free cash.
Right. So I guess Brian's asking why it doesn't specifically say free cash.
Well, in the motion, it will say, the funding source will be mentioned in the motion, which is what's voted at town meeting.
Okay, so both 31 and 32?
31 is free cash, 32 is also coming from free cash.
That's what I thought, okay.
I just think for transparency, just going forward, I don't know, if it's coming from free cash, I think we should just state that. I don't know if that's a big deal or not a big deal.
No, it's an excellent point. I mean, but Sean, why would that not already say free cash before? Did we not know that was coming out of free cash?
Well, it's always referred to as available funding sources. I mean, we could be reallocating monies from a special article. It doesn't necessarily, special articles which may have balances that we can transfer surplus balances. So it's not always necessarily going to come from free cash. We don't know that until we finish all the articles and look at everything holistically. So if we've got a limited amount of free cash, but we have special article surplus balances, we can use that as well. So that's probably typically why they don't specify free cash as a blanket.
Okay,
It's from sources.
okay.
Okay, so just in case it needs to come from those other unused articles.
Right, if there's a surplus balance and there's other special articles, other free cash allocations from prior years, we don't wanna paint ourselves in a corner, that's why we leave it very open.
Right, because you would have to rewrite that article would have to be amended on the town floor, and we wouldn't be able to even consider it if it wasn't, the funding source wasn't interchangeable.
That is correct.
Okay.
Sean, as far as what is the best resource to kind of figure out what the unused previous articles are? Is that tracked in a budgetary sense, or how does one track those previously appropriate amounts that aren't spent?
So that's a great question. So in units, we also look at the description, which gives us the article and the year, and the month and year of when that article was voted at town meeting. And depending on the age of the special article, we'll look at it, we'll go through a periodic review, and then we'll start inquiring, well, whether or not the project has been completed or not, this is surplus balance left. And in some cases, we're able to reallocate those funds or reappropriate at town meeting. But I think we did that just recently. We actually reappropriated quite a bit of surplus balances from those special articles within the free cash article to try to, soften the hit to all of the free cash that we realized that particular fiscal year.
So is there any kind of set policy as far as like timeline, like, okay, so we've, town meeting appropriates X amounts 3 years ago, is that just kind of best practice? Like, what's the process in those kind of like things that we appropriate that are kind of like out of mind, 2 or 3 years later?
Yeah, so typically the 3 years is the timeline or the threshold. So if a project hasn't been completed, or if it has been completed, there's no further additional expense, this is surplus balance. The surplus balance can be reallocated. But we typically look at anything that's between 2 and 3 years, and if it's 3 years in grade, we really have to take a look at it and decide whether we should reallocate those resources, because that's free cash from prior years that's still tied up in the special article.
Thanks, Sean.
All right,
Cool.
Thank you.
thank you for that. All right, so Article 34, you guys have that?
Yeah. I was looking for a note. Don't say, but that's all right. So 34, and Sean might need some on this. So last spring, funding was allocated for a transition to a vehicle leasing program. The viability of the leasing program has not been established. That money, I believe, was used to move in the budget for the boat tech school.
That is correct. So the money out, I think it was $250,000 to start the vehicle lease program. That was scrapped in order to fund South Shore Regional MOTAC.
So we didn't replace any vehicles, and the vehicles that we want to replace, two of them have high mileage, two have been decommissioned. And I believe there's going to be an amendment to this to take off the superintendent vehicles and just put in work dump trucks. Is that what you had as well?
Yeah.
So this will be an amended article. They'll have to amend it on the floor. And I think it's going from 6 vehicles to 2 vehicles. I mean, 6 to 4. So,
So the superintendents are gonna retain their current vehicles for the time being?
yeah.
Just ride them till the wheels
Well,
fall
there's
off.
some flack about,
It's just
Oh,
pressure.
yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. The decision has been made in that department.
so in our meeting, we said, we're gonna take them off. Now, we don't know that yet.
But that's.
Okay.
But the fact that we've put 2 of them won't pass inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
that,
it's time to replace them.
I was gonna say, just to, like we talked about earlier, that's good information, but we're voting on what's in front of us.
Right.
right.
So I would think that the way this is gonna go, let's put it this way, if they amend it and say, we're gonna buy these 2 dump trucks, and these 2 pickup trucks for these areas, 2 of them have been decommissioned, no longer pass inspection, and I'll move to.
But why, we have the money in free cash, why wouldn't we?
This'll give you
Well, it's not
change.
even free cash.
Oh, all right, okay.
It's not free cash. These are
So
all,
it's paid out of the.
they typically
enterprise
replace their
fund.
vehicles out of enterprise unless it's capital,
Those capital, you.
Right, but out of free cash or our budget, right? So, but they typically would use retained earnings to buy these vehicles, and it has been that way for a long time. I mean, personally, I don't see a problem replacing the supervisor's vehicles.
Especially
That's
if
not my
they're
call,
fast
but I don't see a problem with it, they have the money. So, that's me.
Ostensibly, we're voting, if we vote this in, we're voting on max, and you're saying likely it's gonna come in under that.
Right.
Yeah, so what's the total of all the, I didn't do the math, any idea?
227,
That's the whole ball of wax?
I believe so. No, wait.
No, that's for one
that's just
Chevrolet.
one, yeah.
Here, I don't have it.
That's for one of them.
One pickup truck, yeah.
Right, it's a 2,500, K 2,500.
It's a-
Or,
27 for the 2,500, 440 for 3 new pickups.
Wow, those things are expensive.
they are,
And
133.
133.
Can they just buy like, Chevy Colorados instead of F-150?
Well, they're trying to Chevy Tahoe.
That was the superintendent.
Right.
Which we're now under the understanding is gonna be
The drawing.
red line.
This is an excellent question, because if we have knowledge of things like this, and there is knowledge passed before town meeting, I need to ask Mr. Galvin, Attorney Galvin, like, can we vote with prior knowledge? I mean, do we have to vote to the verbal, I mean, to what's actually printed, or can we say we have reliable knowledge from the department heads, or reliable knowledge from the town administrator that this is going to happen, and we can vote?
I think we can, my concern would just be that knowledge is not ironclad, so we
Right.
could always just say, oh,
Right. I don't know, I'm gonna ask, but I agree, I think, I'm a big believer in what's in the warrant is what we vote. what we
but we're
recommend.
also, I mean, we are also doing research, that is our job too. so
Correct.
I think,
Things change.
considering that knowledge is perfectly fine, I was just more of a warning that like, that's not written down, so we believe that's going to happen. And I'm not talking out of school or pointing fingers, but if it's not in there.
Then we could use the as written as is rule.
Correct.
We just did it on another one, so.
Right.
Yeah.
We should be consistent.
Not to go on a rabbit hole, but there will come a day when the printed warrant will be obsolete, and there will be a digital warrant that's amendable on the fly. This is just my opinion. that it will change as it goes, and by the time we get to town meeting, it will be it. So as the information is gathered, because the challenge now is you have a deadline for the warrant, and then time passes, and it's just like, I worked in print media for many years, and this is why print media is not what it used to be, because news moves really fast.
Sure.
Data moves really fast now. So I'm just saying, my feeling is this will eventually change, but I don't know when. But anyway, that's just my sidebar. So. All right, so what are we doing on 34? Are we gonna vote the whole amount or no?
The money's there, I say.
Money's in retained earnings.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's typical, I mean, many years I've been around that, so not to sway anybody from the saying. So I'll make a motion to recommend Article 34.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye? Any opposed? All right. Citizens petitions.
Okay, so, the easiest of the three is the first one. Article 35, unpaved private roadway grading funds. So the citizen petition seeks to establish a standard grading frequency of 4 gradings per year by policy approved by town meeting for unpaved private roadways throughout Marshfield. The cost is unknown. Nothing in this article says what the cost is. All you have is a number of $70,000 that the petitioner says was spent in the past to do this. Attorney Galvin says that's not accurate, and that Sean, DPW Sean says that he just covered out of his operating budget, if he had it. So here's my issue. If you look in the article, it talks about capital funding being used, or being used in the past, and it talks, I think the word capital funding is used 3 times. Well, having some knowledge of capital versus operating, that goes against the IRS regulations. Using capital funds for roadway grading would be in conflict with IRS regulations for assigning expenditures as capital when they are actually operational. Capital expenses, by definition, add value to the asset, in this case the town of Marshfield, and can be depreciated over time. Operational expenses, on the other hand, add no value to the asset but are necessary expenses in running a town, which grading falls into that category. It adds no value to the town. So as Attorney Galvin told us, it has no funding source to begin with. It doesn't say where to get the money from. And if you read into it, it seems like the petitioner, if Dave were here, he'd argue with me, is seeking it out of capital, and that would be in error. So I turn it over to Sean at this point. Sean, have I got it right? I'm an engineer by degree, not an accountant, but I was a manager too, and I had to deal with, trying to sway people to say, well, it's kind of capital, isn't it?
Yeah, this is not a capital, project, this is considered maintenance, as you're referring to, so I mean, you're right, it doesn't fit the IRS definition of capital, because it's not adding value, it's just maintaining an asset that's current, it doesn't add and detract to the value, you're just maintaining an asset, but at the same token, there is no funding source identified in the citizen's petition.
Yeah, ask a silly question. Regardless of which way we vote on this, it's unenforceable, right?
Right.
So if we said, yeah, do it, it's not going to happen, be as written.
Yeah, so that's correct.
So no issue with the request, it cannot happen no matter what we vote.
And if there is an emergency situation, and if someone lives on an unpaved road and there's a huge pothole that the fire trucks can't get past or emergency vehicles can't get past, Sean's gonna get his people out there and fill it in with something, and it's gonna get done. And it has in the past. But as far as putting it in writing, the town has told DPW to grade these unpaved roads that are private, we shouldn't, my opinion is we shouldn't approve this, we shouldn't recommend approval.
I agree with you, but for different reasons. I agree with you because it's poorly written. I
Oh,
think to revise and resubmit, and let's try it again.
Well, not only that, but Attorney Galvin flat out said it's illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel comfortable recommending an illegal article.
So that's where, I feel bad, because, Dave puts a lot of work.
The intent is there, and Dave has a
Great heart.
great heart for this town, for what, he wants it to be better, so totally see his intent, but, so.
I think there's an operating budget line of 70. Because I remember at the meeting, at our last meeting, I was adding the numbers. Sean has 200 for roads, there's another 70 for unpaid, and Dave's asking for another 70.
Yeah, this was a delta.
So at the end of the day, it's another one of these operating maintenance expenses. It should be 340 for roads.
Right.
200, 70, and 70.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to go to, explain this to town meeting, it's crazy.
Right.
Okay, so the motion is
Yeah, make a motion to not recommend Article 35 to town meeting.
second.
All those in favor of not recommending?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
All right, the next two get really sticky. And I spent almost an hour on the phone with Diane and Pamela Keith, but we'll take them one at a time. So, Article 36, the subject article revises section 180-10 and adds a restriction that states, and this is really the heart of it, if you look at the article, no commercial event activity shall be eligible for a special license under this section. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's there it is. Nor shall any person drink any alcoholic beverage while in and upon private land or private building or private structure or private place without the consent of the owners. So what she's trying to do is, at the town meeting in December, less than 9 months ago, or about 9 months ago, there was an article put forward by the a private owner of lockdown.
no,
That's all right. This law was amended to add the ability of the select board to approve one-day liquor licenses. I believe it's bulk liquor, I don't think it's for, it's beer and wine.
Well, you have to be to even be considered.
12C,
You have to be a 501c3
Yeah.
or a 12C candidate.
Right, that's it. And it was put forth by a caterer, a business person who wanted to offer up Harbor Park at times and submit a permit request and then have an affair at Harbor Park. Well, what Diane is afraid of, and probably has come to pass, is that when a caterer has the ability to do that, they block the park off to public access, because it's not that big a park. But it's a public park, and yet the public can't use it. So she felt that the way to do this was to restrict the alcohol so that it can't happen. Now, this was debated on town meeting floor. Someone tried to amend the article that put this all in place last year by restricting the alcohol, and it was resoundingly, almost unanimously, you could look at the hands, but it was resoundingly defeated. That amendment was defeated, and the town, and it was only a small group, it was the second day of the town meeting with the last MBTA vote. It was the second day, so almost no one was there, but they all voted that no, we're going to let the selectmen decide. In my opinion, trying to, for a town to allow drinking on public property as a matter of written permission brings in all sorts of legal possibilities, liability possibilities, especially when on one side of Harbor Park is the ocean. And, it's just, it just seems like a bad mix to me. But when I looked at the town meeting debate over this today, and refreshed my memory about where this article originally came from, there were a lot of reasonable arguments on the side of, let's let the selectmen decide.
Yeah.
So that's where I am on this one. I kind of want to support Diane, but at the same time, it was asked and answered last year, and now here it is back in a different form.
Was there a conversation also, with memory serves, to tie these two articles together?
So I asked Pam about that. Diane said absolutely not, they never had a conversation before, but
No, but at our joint meeting, wasn't that recommended?
I think I might recommend that they stand votes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But it did not occur.
Neither party is in favor of that.
Okay,
They
that's fair.
claim their articles are totally different, although when you look at Pam's going after it in a much more, if you read her article, it's much more involved, much more process-oriented and, bylaw written, it's like, it's just way more involved. Diane has essentially one sentence that takes away the ability to serve beer and wine in a public park if you're a private contractor. So you could still have town, like the Festival of the Arts, and I guess, I don't know, what is that other one? What happens?
Lobster Fest?
But it's
Yeah.
moved, it's moved. Lobster Fest is moved.
Is Lobster Fest now at the
It's at the
fairgrounds?
fairgrounds, it's much better. now.
Yeah.
I think they would agree that it's much better.
Yeah, so you can still have these events, but they can't be for profit in a town, they have to be for, some sort of charitable event,
Right.
like the arts and whatever.
Or Molly Fund or something.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Would you ask her why the approach she's taking is to not allow the alcohol as opposed to you can't shut off?
yeah, she's very clear about it. What she says in that, she says, well, the easiest way to get rid of, a crowd forming is not to serve alcohol, is her feeling. She thought that was the cleanest way, but what she felt was that if you allow this and you say it can happen in Harbor Park, the number of events and the amount of people at the events would be a disincentive. Even if they let people in, they'd see this huge party going on they weren't invited to, and they wouldn't go to the park. They'd just, do something else, and that would be, I don't know what's called, de facto restriction, just by, hey, I don't want to go somewhere where I wasn't invited. That was the discussion we had.
I'd go.
Yeah, yes.
To sneak up and get a free drink? No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so your recommendation is to not recommend.
I'm really hesitant, because I think it's bad business for a town to be involved in supporting a lot of liquor consumption, not liquor, beer and wine consumption. So I'm in favor of Diane's article. I'm just offering that last year the question was asked and answered on the town meeting floor, and the amendment someone else proposed, which is very similar to this, was resoundingly defeated.
So the gist of this is, if you're a contractor and you're having an event at like Harbor Park, serving beer and wine, by the fact you're serving the beer and wine, other people that wanna come and walk their dogs probably be, nah, I'm not gonna go to the park today.
That's one of
You're
the
renting
things.
the park as well, so it's not that they don't want to, they can't. It's now your park, your
Okay.
event.
It's a private event and we're gonna close it off, or it's just gonna be so, disruptive to bring your dog in there or be in there. But it's also, in my mind, it's liability. The town gave me this permit to do it. I'm sorry that someone, hurt themselves or got drunk and fell off the dock. But,
Well,
There's insurance on that.
that doesn't really work that way.
no,
No, the event, I mean, the town could be named, but the event organizer would have the culpability.
because they'd be the ones
They're-
supplying a
they're
12C
providing-
contract, right?
They're the ones providing the alcohol. I think it's under dram shop laws too.
Okay, all right, well, that answers that.
But I think the bigger question, to me, like when I heard the presentation, now when I'm hearing you, I'm hearing we don't want to restrict public access to public spaces that the citizens pay for.
Right.
When I read it, I can't make heads or tails of it.
That's what I'm.
That's my bigger issue. When I read the thing,
You just,
Yes.
just
stem to
explain it.
stern, I go, I have no idea.
I didn't know where she was going until she made herself very clear on the phone.
And that, to me, like, okay, here's a law, no one understands it,
Yeah,
I don't.
so maybe that's, I think you swayed me, but I vote that we don't approve this one, and the other one to me is worse, but,
All right, so, Brian,
Chris, I just have one question. So the current process is if a for-profit entity wanted to do some kind of event, they get approval by the select board.
correct.
What is the problem with that process?
There is no problem. I mean, there hasn't, I mean, if you talk to, I mean, look, I'll just speak to the facts, is there hasn't been very many. I don't believe I've ever heard a problem. I could be wrong, but the chief of police would tell you, I mean, in these types of things, we have not had problems.
Yeah, Tavares got up, Phil
So
Tavares got up and said,
is exclude
For-profit.
entities
Correct,
from doing those permits.
correct.
My second question would be, if it's my 40th birthday, is that a for-profit entity?
Correct.
It's certainly not a.
It would be
nonprofit
if
entity.
you hired a caterer
Yeah,
or a
But
bartender.
if I'm I mean, that same caterer could cater the Molly Fund, they're still a for-profit
Well, I
caterer.
think there's probably a difference between private and public. That's probably a private event. So I think,
I don't think you
But
could
it-
run it for your, I don't know, maybe you could. I don't know.
Well, I certainly could hire a caterer for my birthday.
No, I don't know if you could rent
Yeah,
Harbor Park
public
for your
space.
private birthday.
you could, and that would be a private event by a contractor.
But the select board would have to approve it.
Yeah,
Yeah, correct, which is the current process, which there seems to be no issue with.
There has not.
And they may not approve it, frankly, which would be okay.
Right.
That's possible too.
there are people who have weddings at Harbor Park.
That's
Right,
right.
and that's not
That would
for
kill
profit,
this.
it's private, but this is talking about,
Well, if they're serving, canapes and beer
if
and
they have a
wine.
permit process, they get approved and then they do it.
Right.
assuming that they hire
Yeah,
a
I don't
caterer
see an
as
issue with
opposed
the
to
current
doing it
process, that's
themselves.
right.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Okay. So then I'm gonna make a motion that we don't recommend this article to town meeting. All those in favor of not recommending, say aye.
Well,
Oh, we did.
Second.
We have a
I'll
second.
second it.
All right, all those in favor of not recommending, say aye. Any opposed?
To reiterate, current process,
Current
a
process.
board can still
Right.
The select
refuse
board
to, the select board can still refuse to block access to the public.
All right, and then Article 37.
very similar, and what bothers me about 37 is that it starts out in general terms, it talks in general about this passive park preservation, and then it focuses specifically on Harbor Park. So Harbor Park seems to be the torchstone or whatever it's called. That seems to be the thing that everyone's upset, and I think it was over Lobster Fest. They didn't like it, they thought it was too rowdy but, so the problem with focusing on one thing in the beginning and then one particular park in town just bothers me. Because that makes it difficult to say, well, what about South River, the South River Park, and what about, do all these apply to that as well? And the definitions of what a passive park is, I think she's coming up with that on her own. She defines it, and it sounds good, but, a town-owned land formerly dedicated by the select board at town meeting vote or by other means as open to the general public and restricted for passive recreation uses such as sunning, walking, picnicking, nature and wildlife viewing, and other quiet and light personal uses of the land.
Yeah.
You kind of get my drift. I think this is unwieldy to approve at town meeting. It's got too much to it, and I don't know the unintended consequences of approving it.
But my take with Pam was, she pretty much asked, I did what I could, but then she said, I'm going out to you professionals, how would we clean this up to really make it?
And that should happen outside of the town meeting floor. And, she
Sure.
wrote this on her own, she submitted it on her own, she didn't get any input. Maybe she asked Galvin for his input, but I don't think he got back to it. But I'd love to see her and Diane get together and work with the select board to come up with something, if something's needed. This right now seems like it's a bylaw looking for a problem. And right now, I don't think there's a problem.
I agree. Anybody else have a concern?
I'd say my only question is, in the middle of the article is some reference to 450,000 as previously voted. I'm just curious as to what the status of that
So
is, and if
it-
that's,
Well, the park is established, it was established in 2014, as it says, by annual town meeting.
You have to basically build Harbor Park.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's just a history of Harbor Park. But to Vin's point, this is an article that starts off very general and then hones in on Harbor Park. So it really comes down to, it's specifically about not allowing these things on Harbor Park, not all of our parks. It's not very inclusive and, so
Attorney Galvin doesn't
Very
support it.
Yeah, yeah. So, any other concerns, questions? So I'm gonna make a motion to not recommend Article 37 to town meeting. Any
Second.
all those in favor of not recommending? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Think that's it?
She did a hell of a, when you look at it, I mean, she put a lot of work into
This
it.
team is very good at these things, and she has very good research, and she's found some great things, and she also cares a great deal about it.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, she could be, I mean, she is a terrific asset to the town.
So, okay, so I appreciate everybody being here, and it's thoughtful participation. And just to remind everybody, we are going to meet at 6 PM on Monday prior to town meeting. We will have that funding reimbursement thing to consider, and then there was one other thing, what did we, oh, there's one other,
Water pump,
they write that article, and we will get that information.
Where are we meeting at 6 PM?
It'll be in room 145A at the high school.
Generally, if you go in and take your first right, that's where they.
They put us there.
Different. And that's
So-
the side by people.
145 out.
Yes, and hopefully you can make it. If you can't, obviously we need quorum, but, and obviously it'd be great, obviously try to make, for sure, make town meeting. And then any article that you are assigned, be prepared to speak on it. I just think, be concise, explain why we came to that recommendation or non-recommendation, and, just you give town meeting, but this actual meeting as well is a great resource for the people of the town. They can see how we've deliberated and worked as a board to come to consensus, so I really appreciate it. Appreciate everyone being here for the hall. So I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Nay? All right. No, I'm kidding. Good, well, thank you so much.